Okay, 1 second. No way this isn't. Okay, good evening and welcome to the, we're live, okay.
Thank you.
Welcome to the March 30th, 2021 Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, there are 5 selectmen present, as well as town council and the town administrator.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see. Rich, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
In my honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Announcement. I'll start with Alan.
Thankfully, it's been a pretty quiet week. The only thing that's kind of discouraging as usual is that South Coast Health seems to be able to get very much vaccine supplies. And we're going into April when I think it's by April 19th, everybody's going to be eligible. And I expect, unfortunately, to be a complete mess trying to get it in. I'm hoping they can get the last of the 60 and older group. Still have a couple million people waiting. I just suggest people to keep trying. You know, they can get to Gillette. They can do Fenway if they want. They can try Dartmouth over at the old Circuit City. But unfortunately, our local stuff is really difficult right now. Be patient. We'll get there. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I was able to get an appointment today for the vaccine on South Coast, but I woke up. Another selectman apparently doesn't honor normal texting time practices and woke me up out of a sound sleep. So I said, well, I'm already up, so I'll look on the phone. And sure enough, good. I got in, and it was just random. And I'm sure if I'd looked 5 minutes later, there wouldn't have been anything. It's just the luck of the draw.
Yep, that's all it is.
So, okay, Patrick, Steve Ruiz, could you turn off your mic because we're hearing you in the background? Or is it Bob or whoever's got the one that's identified as Steve Ruiz? Yeah. Thanks.
I have no announcements, so.
Okay, very good. Jim, announcements?
Announcements. Again, I'm going to follow up as I did the previous 2 weeks. We seem to be getting some hits on committee appointments or people looking to become committee members. So again, look on the town website for committee openings. And also for job opportunities with the town. We got one sent to us today, an administrative assistant. So if anybody's interested, take a look. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy.
Yes, the library is no longer accepting donations. They have their storage room all filled up. And so thank you very much to the public who dropped all of their books off for their resale. As soon as they have the dates available, they'll be published online for the used book sales, which is how they make a lot of their money, unfortunately, because of COVID. Continue to highlight the fact that the Y is giving out free food, that the Council on Aging has Tuesday and Thursday pickup meals. You need to call the week ahead of time. Remind people of the scholarship availabilities. See the high school guidance counselors. There are at least 3 that I am aware of. And other than that, I think I'll leave it.
Okay, thank you. I have an announcement. This is from the town moderator, and it relates to the April 10th, 2021 special town meeting, and also the special town meeting within the special town meeting that takes place at 12:30 on April 10th, 2021. It starts at noon, and then at 12:30 it will shift into the special within the special. And this is entitled Town Meeting Guidelines and Information. Meeting time. Town meeting will start promptly at 12 noon. Arrival. Please plan to arrive in plenty of time to check in. We expect a large turnout and checking in will take time. Parking. Parking will be in the town hall lots, the middle school parking lots, and the high school parking lots. Handicapped parking will be directly behind the batting cages And when that is full, handicap parking will be at the high school parking lot next to the high school softball field. There will be volunteers to help anyone with accessibility issues. The police department will have signs for handicap parking areas and will be directing traffic in the area. COVID-19 precautions. Masks must be worn over the nose and mouth at all times. A safe social distance must be maintained at all times. And the moderator has laid out the area for the body to sit in a way that people are just going to be distanced 6 feet apart. She's got a couple of, in spots, there are 2 chairs together. Presumably that's for couples. But, please don't mingle by moving your chairs around. She also asked to not come if you are not feeling well or you're under quarantine due to exposure to somebody with COVID. A reminder that no political buttons, clothing, or signs are allowed. Neither advocacy apparel nor signs are permitted within the town meeting venue. Town meeting is a nonpartisan legislative body. No political buttons, clothing with political or campaign slogans or signs are permitted within the town meeting venue. Any political activity must take place at least 150 feet away from town meeting. And these are pretty much the same old rules as they've always been anyway. Absolutely no food or drink will be allowed. Please take care not to damage the playing field. We suggest that you wear soft-soled shoes. So that's from the town moderator. And of course, this again is a reminder that April 10th, at noontime, we have a pretty good sized town meeting coming up. Next up, would we like to jump down to Ms.
Yes,
Bettino
please.
now?
Yes, please.
Okay, we will do that. We will jump on the agenda to item number C under town business, a proclamation.
For Cecilia Bettino.
And we'll ask for Cecilia.
Her mom, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
her mom's there. We'll ask for her to be turn on her mic and turn on the video. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Okay, this is a proclamation from the Board of Selectmen from the town of Wareham. We present this proclamation to Cecilia Bettino. Whereas Cecilia Bettino is a senior at Wareham High School, ranked in the top 20% of her class and an International Baccalaureate School full diploma student. Whereas while a student at Wareham High School, Cecilia Bettino has been a member of the Wareham High School track and field team, the Key Club, the Best Buddies, the National Honor Society, DECA, Student Council, Viking Theater Company, and the Global Education Program. Whereas Cecilia was one of 2 students awarded a full scholarship to attend camp at Massachusetts Maritime Academy in 2018, has 3 times received the Wareham High School Viking Ship Award, and received the Best Actress Award at a festival competition as a member of the Viking Theater Company. Whereas in addition to being a successful student, Cecilia Bettino has been working part-time jobs during the school year and full-time in the summer. Whereas Cecilia Bettino received a full scholarship from the Wareham Public School Global Education Office to attend the 2021 Nova Academies, a pioneering academic institution which serves secondary schools around the world, whose mission is to build a global community of lifelong learners. She attended the G20 Virtual Summit on Climate Change and the Future of Humanity. Whereas during the virtual International Youth Summit, Cecilia Bettino teamed with 6 other students from China, India, Indonesia, and Peru to create 4 policies for climate change for the United Kingdom. Whereas Cecilia Bettino is not only an exceptionally well-rounded student at Wareham High School, she is also a role model for all of the citizens of Wareham. It is with great pleasure and humility that the Board of Selectmen present this proclamation to Cecilia Bettino, presented this 30th day of March, 2021. Peter W. Teitelbaum, Judith Whiteside, Alan Slavin, Patrick Tropiano, and James Muniz. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job.
Very nice.
We will mail this to you at your home, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. Do you have any family members there with you today?
Yes, my mom and my dad are here. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Oh, how are you?
Good.
Good,
congratulations. You raised a wonderful young lady.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome job, Cecilia.
Thank you.
Great job.
We're very proud of her.
You should be.
You should
Thank
be.
you.
This
Thank
is
you very much.
We didn't even know she was doing this. We had no idea. No, she doesn't tell us. No.
She just told you to turn on the computer at 7 or something.
No, my family vacation I'm spending, and she had to do it at night because of the time zone.
Oh yeah.
So it's like 11 at night. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm still on this. So she's like, can I borrow a blazer? So she's funny. She's just very self-directed. We could take a little bit of the credit, but it's mostly her.
It's obviously a very, very accomplished young lady, and you are to be congratulated, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you
again.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything going forward.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Okay, next on the agenda is citizens' comments. Please use the hand raise function. And I'll acknowledge people and see what they would like to speak about. I'll start off with what I believe is Don Jepson. It's showing up as D. Jepson. Well, let's see.
It is Don.
Yep. We're just waiting for your microphone, Don.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Nope. What's on your mind tonight, Don?
Okay. On the agenda, one of the things that I'm aware of was the close of the 2021 spring special town meeting within the annual town meeting. And one of my concerns, and I may have repeated this, but the town relies to a tremendous degree on income from the property taxes that we pay. And one of my concerns is that where I had worked or lived previously for 30 years, in the time when I sold my house then, it was sold for 4.7 times what I had paid for it. And that city, which happened to be Northampton, Mass, had a very aggressive program towards getting grant writers and getting grants. And so they weren't relying on the property tax as much. And since we moved full-time to Wareham in 2012, I've noticed that my property values have gone down, and that you're doing a financial plan and you want to retire, which we already have. So, we were able to cash in. I think it's in the best interest of the voters and the residents in this town to be able to rely on the fact that should they decide to move somewhere else and retire, it's to their benefit to have an increase in the value of their property. So I mentioned tonight that there is the closing of the spring special town meeting. If there is not a proposed article for Derek Sullivan to hire a grant writer, I think it is time that be put through, if you could put a place marker in. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that suggestion. One of the things that, it's not a grant writer, Don, but one of the things that has been proposed, I believe in the new budget, is room for an assistant town planner, and perhaps they could fulfill some of that function as well. Let's see, I'm gonna go down the list. Jim Ekabachi, please.
I'm unmuted. Do I have a camera?
We can hear you.
You can hear me? Well, you don't need to see me. I just wanted to let you know that I'm here. I've asked the planner to ask you folks to consider looking at the marijuana bylaws. I won't belabor it because I know you're going to get into things for the town warrant later on. I just want to let you know I was here. If you had any questions on my thoughts. And at that time, I'll sit through the rest of this. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let's see, Leslie, oh, there you are. You just came up.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, you don't want to take advantage of your screen audition here?
Well, it's very simply put, our bylaws were written at a time when nobody knew anything about marijuana or the sale of marijuana in Wareham. The bylaw does provide for a moratorium on some portions of it. The bylaw was quite restrictive on where these operations could be. Having watched one operation for a period of time now and observing frustrations with town members, seems very apparent to me that it would be appropriate to widen the areas. I think all commercial areas should be allowed and allowed for that use. I don't propose any increase in licenses. I don't propose much other than, they get painted kind of into a corner, into institutional, and a very small part of our strip commercial zoning. I think all commercial zones should be included. And I'd ask you guys to consider it and maybe put it in front of the town for a vote. I did submit my draft version of how I would rewrite the bylaw through Ken Buckland, and I'll let him present that later on when you're talking about that type of business.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we have Leslie Edwards Davis.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
If you'd like to put on your camera, you can do that too.
Yep, I tried to. Let me try it again. There we go.
Yep, thank you.
So resident of Wareham, just have a couple of quick points I wanted to make. Before the meeting started, I emailed the select board with a petition signed by more than 1,200 Wareham residents and concerned citizens who are opposed to the rezoning off of Glen Charlie Road, and who would like you to know that they're in opposition. And I would ask that that be entered into the record of this meeting. And I would love for you to review that signature, that petition with the signatures. I do think it's a significant number that can't really be ignored. And we're getting signatures every day on the petition. So that's point one. Point two is that some very clever internet person has posted something on Facebook. It's beyond my understanding how you do it, but apparently when you create websites, there's a signature kind of that goes along with the creator, the author. And I wanted to point out that the Wareham Wins website has been seemingly created by a consulting group called Consensus Strategies. And I only bring this up because I encourage you to look at that website for Consensus Strategies. I don't think that they think that regular citizens will ever see their site, because why would they ever look at this consultant group? But when you go there, you'll see a very smug, derisive group of people who call people in your community cave people. Do you know what cave people stands for? Probably not. It stands for Citizens Against Virtually Everything. The website goes on to list a bunch of different playbook strategies about how they secure votes in towns for controversial projects. And I really would encourage you to look at this and see what you're kind of aligning yourself with, because what it does is it puts your constituents in a, they basically are making fun of people like your constituents who care about their community, who are invested in what happens in their community. And 4 out of the 5 of you have aligned yourself with this developer, with this rezoning project. And this is kind of in your name. And I think you should look at how they talk about people like me who own a house here and who want the best for the town, and see if that's really what you want to align yourself with. My last point is that in the last Board of Select meeting last week, Mr. Teitelbaum, you said you made reference to infrastructure dollars, federal infrastructure dollars. And it was in reference, the reference was made in the conversation about the rezoning. And I was curious about that. I couldn't understand how those two would be connected. And then I said, oh, of course. Is the select board thinking that they're gonna access federal infrastructure dollars and use them to put an interchange out on that land to make sure that people can get off the highway to this NOTOS project? Because if they are, that is wildly inappropriate. And we have so many projects in this town that could benefit from infrastructure dollars. And I just can't understand, if it's not that, then why would those two things be brought up in the same conversation? So those are my points. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Teitelbaum?
Yes. I have something.
I have something that I would like to say. I saw what Ms. Davis is referring to, and it was clear to me that it was a spoof that somebody had, don't quote me because I don't know how to run the internet, and I don't have a Facebook page. I don't know how any of that works. Part of what you saw was actually an outtake from The Office. And it is somebody has hacked that site and has put on the offensive and truly rude things that are on it. I called notice this morning when I was made aware of it. It is not their information. It never was their information. And I would ask that any reasonable person, if you're trying to sell something, why would you call people names?
I'm not familiar with what you're referencing.
We're not going to have this discussion.
I'm just asking, are you saying that NOTOS is not working with consulting, with consensus strategies?
I'm saying that nobody on this board is in a position to speak for who NOTOS is working with or not. That's a question that should go to NOTOS. As far as suggesting that we're somehow tied in with their promotional website, that's not the case.
Well, you wrote a letter that had all of your names on it, except for one select board member saying that you approve of this. You want this to happen.
We support a rezoning change. We don't support any particular company going in there.
I just, I want to say one thing, Peter.
Yep.
I read the thing tonight. It came in my email box, the thing that the woman is talking about, her petition. And it talked about 1,000 acres of land to be was being rezoned. That's just not a fact. There's a little less than 300 acres. All of the Red Brook land is not included in that rezoning. There is just a hair under, and I forget what the actual number is, 280 something, whatever.
Well, just Patrick, actually the zoning area at issue is more like 700 acres because they include the properties along Glen Charlie outside of it.
Yeah, if you include those, but I was talking in the properties in the rear, which is going towards what everybody's worried about, which is Red Brook. There's only about 300 acres there, 280 something acres or whatever. So along Glen Charlie, that's another story because that's just opening up for whoever, for the other people.
That's misleading. That's not the total acreage that's to be rezoned.
There's not 1,000 acres,
this is an opportunity. Hold on, everybody. This is an opportunity for people to make comments to us. It's not a public hearing. It's not a public dialogue.
Absolutely. I don't want to take up all the time.
No. I'm actually probably scolding my board members more than you.
But I don't think we should let inaccuracies stand out there on the record. It's not 200 acres.
Well, then take the 1,000 off, okay? And we'll be fine.
It has evolved over time. And can someone tell us the exact number of acres? That would be great.
Off the top of my head, it's either like 694 or 674, I think.
Because I've heard in the news in several different news outlets, 900 plus. And
it was 900 plus before the Red Brook was taken out.
Which is 200 roughly.
So it's in the upper 600s, I believe.
The acreage, may I?
Yes, we'll answer this one question.
Thank you.
Of course you can.
This is a town meeting article fact. What will a yes vote mean on Article 1? Will change the zoning for the 275 acre R130 district parcel between Route 25 and Glen Charlie Road to allow other economic development options to be considered. 275 acres. Originally, it was substantially more. If you had read the article which is about a 10-page article for the warrant, you would, and if you had read the facts, those are the facts.
I have read the facts, and every paper that's reporting on this is reporting a different number. So you're saying,
well, but the article is the article, ma'am. The article is the article. The article has to be what it is. It's an up and down article, and that's what it is. So,
well, can I just ask for clarification, Mr. Teitelbaum? You also agreed that it was larger than 275. So are you incorrect then, or who's incorrect?
I believe the language of the article, if you look at the overlay district that the article would create, it is well over. It is beyond the what we call the Graziano property, which is the gravel property, and it does encompass the properties along Glen Charlie. So it is well over 600 acres in terms of the rezoning. However, I'm trying to remember if this is also no, I don't think it is. No, it was originally 900 something, and then the Red Brook.
Okay, so it's 600. It's 600 then.
Yeah, 600 okay. Somewhere between 600 and 700 is what I believe the article to be.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Erica Kennedy is up next.
Good evening. How are you? Again, my name is Erica Kennedy, and I am a current resident of the town of Wareham. I was hoping that the members of the board might be able to tell me if delivery operation will be discussed this evening or if delivery will be taken up at a later date. I think there is a great opportunity for the town in terms of new employment, tax revenue, and positive community impact by allowing marijuana delivery operators. I would like to reserve my comment regarding the support of delivery operators in the town of Wareham for if and when the Board of Selectmen deem it appropriate.
Okay, just so you understand what the process is here tonight, we have received from the Director of Planning and Community Development a proposed warrant article to be taken up at the special Springtown meeting within Springtown meeting, which is scheduled for April 26th, although it was likely to be pushed off to a different date. And that article would propose to limit the amount of delivery establishments to 3 within the town. So if we vote to put that on the warrant, the next step, because it's a zoning article, there would have to be a planning board hearing on the article to discuss it, to solicit public input from residents, from people in town who might want to be doing business there and so on, under the terms of the article and so on and so forth. So that really, before this were to come up for a vote at town meeting, that would be your best opportunity, Erica, to have your input and state your position on the article. And the same goes for anybody in connection with any article that deals with zoning. The planning board has public hearings, and we encourage people to go there and listen. You can learn what the article's about. You can learn the logic behind it, and you can learn what other people think about it. So
thank you so much for that input.
Stay tuned. Let's see, Kathy and Nancy.
To unmute, there we are. Am I unmuted, Peter?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
I have a specific question about the rezoning area. Now, in that, on Assessor's Map 128, I see that the town owns a 20-acre parcel, lot number 1003, and that's within the area that would be affected by this rezoning article. Mm-hmm. Does the town have any interest in keeping that in conservation, like the master plan seemed to indicate there was going to, be conservation for that area? Or are they interested in combining this with the Graziano pieces that Noto seems to have under consideration?
That's a good question. And since we haven't discussed it, I think so far you have your answer. I mean, there's been no consideration by this board of what would happen with this property were the zoning article to pass.
Okay, so at this point, the town has no particular inclination one way or the other to develop that 20 acres or not.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been discussed. It's not something that's been brought to us. It's not something that's been proposed to us by anybody at this point.
Okay, I would just put it under your hats that it would be really wonderful to have that conserved and be part of Red Brook. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
May I speak to this, Peter?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
There's actually 3 parcels the town owns in that district rezone area. And I believe the redevelopment authority wanted them turned over to them last year at the town meeting.
That was about 2 years ago, Jim.
Yeah, okay, so just to be upfront, there's three tracks out there the town owns. So take a look and let us know what you think. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's see, we have Diane Kenny next.
Hi.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, we're still here.
I have a question actually that just popped into my head based on something that you said a couple of minutes ago. Last week you mentioned, and this week, you mentioned that the April town meeting might be delayed. And I'm curious as to why you think it might be delayed.
Well, that would be the annual, the spring annual town meeting and also the special within the annual. The issue is that once again, we've noticed it for, as we always do, we've noticed it for nighttime at the high school auditorium. And at this point in time, decent possibility, in fact, I'd say there's a strong likelihood at this point that the moderator will want to move that outdoors to a Saturday, just as she's done with the April 10th town meeting. It's anticipated that that meeting, because there are a lot of different items on there, we've got a lot of stuff that's literally been held over for a year that we want to take up, to have the legislative body take up and make decisions on. So we're expecting pretty good turnout for that one as well. Probably not as much as April 10th, but we're still expecting a bigger crowd than we would want to stick in the high school auditorium in the middle of a pandemic. So
yes, well, I agree 1000%.
That's the logic there. We want the most people to participate as they can. So.
And I did want to follow up with you on a question that I had last week. I had asked for the written policy of not allowing people to speak if they have threatened a lawsuit against the town. I haven't heard back.
Well, I can actually speak to that a little bit. There is no actual written policy. It's been the policy since I've been on the board, one that we followed, albeit unwritten. State law, believe it or not, only allows for public participation in a meeting when it's in the context of a public hearing. The item that we have on the agenda for citizen comments is actually strictly optional. And it's one that I would say that most executive boards like ours, boards of selectmen, so on and so forth, do have that. Many other boards and committees don't, even though they have the option to, and the Attorney General actually encourages that. With regard to who gets to participate during the citizen comments, interestingly enough, and it's not something that I wave around all that much, but those decisions actually are left up to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen in this case. So as the person responsible for running the meeting, that's what it is. In fact, if you go on the state attorney general's public meeting law, sort of FAQ, it mentions, do I have a right to speak at a public meeting? And it goes into the whole bit where, if the chairman lets somebody, yes, and if the chair doesn't, then that's that. So that's effectively how citizens' comments are managed by this board. And when I'm done and the next chairman comes along on May 11th, and I'm really looking forward to that day, they get to make these same decisions that I do. But our board policy has always been that, and it's never been anything we've debated, at all. upon advice of counsel is when somebody does threaten to sue us, we say, okay, thank you. We just can't talk to you anymore.
May I ask a question, Mr. Titlebaum?
Yes.
Is Ms. Kenny a citizen of Wareham, a registered voter in Wareham?
Yes, I am.
She certainly is. She's up Glen Charlie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Right off Glen Charlie.
Yep. There was never any question about that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay.
I'm sorry, I was going to get back in line, but if there is no line, just a quick question. I know on the town, and excuse me for my ignorance, because I'm not really going to know exactly what I'm talking about. On the plan for the town that I know we all paid for, part of that plan was to leave this whole area out here, right out my window on Glen Charlie as open space.
No.
Well, actually, I think you're referring to the master plan.
Master plan, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's actually up on the town meeting for endorsement of the master plan. Interestingly enough, the planning board actually under state law approves it, but Richard Swenson, who put a lot of time into it, was hoping to get a town meeting endorsement too. He's very good at reaching out to people and trying to solicit different opinions. So that's effectively what he's doing here. Regarding the contents of the master plan, we did endorse it at one point. But you have to understand that just because we endorse the plan doesn't mean every single one of us endorses every last little thing in it. Just as a practical matter, it covers so much information that you wouldn't get consensus from all five of us on probably more than half of it.
Oh, and I can completely understand that. And I just wanted to make one final statement. We've heard over the last couple of weeks online and tonight at this meeting that people should know facts. And I have to say, I find it rather insulting every time I hear it. And I'd like people to remember that we're all citizens of the same town. We're all trying to do the best we can. We're all trying to do the best we can with the information that we have.
Yes.
And to tell a citizen that they should have facts is very insulting. And from what I've heard over the last week, there are a lot of people in Wareham who find that very insulting. And I'd just like to remind everyone listening, not just the board, but in particular the board. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I see that somebody named Lisa has their hand up. Again, if this is Mrs. Morales, I would have to ask you to drop your hand. If it's not Mrs. Morales, then I will go ahead and acknowledge and ask WCTV. Because I can't presume somebody named Lisa is any particular Lisa. Okay. Thank you. And let's see, we will move on to board comments. Alan.
No, not at this time. No, we've got a lot of stuff to deal with and there's nothing really that important right now.
Okay, thank you. Patrick.
Yeah, no, let's just kind of move along. There's a lot to deal with.
Yep, Jim.
Yeah, I'd just like to address the point that it says that, you know, the warrant articles are available for review in the clerk's office. And at this point in time, the town hall is closed. So I think it would be nice to set up a window within the town clerk's website to post the articles up for review as written. I think we're kind of in the Stone Ages by not doing that at this point in time when we are technologically. That's all I need to say. I want to say at this point. Thank you.
Okay, I believe the Planning and Community Development Department has them up, but I'll ask the town clerk to put them up on her page as well. Put up a link to them.
Thank you.
Yep. Judy.
I just have one point of clarification. The area in Article 1 is 756 acres, of which 275 plus or minus is of interest to the notice group.
And at least one other party.
And at least one other party that we been notified by the Selectmen's office has been actually notified that there are at least one other company who's interested.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well,
yes, thank you.
Send that on to me, would you?
Oh, you got it. He sent us all a letter.
Yeah, we got it a week or maybe 2 weeks ago, Jim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the investment guy up in Boston.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, I don't have anything to say. Let's see, we got a bunch of seasonal liquor licenses.
Yep.
If they're all in order.
No, they're not.
No.
No, they're not.
Which ones are we striking out? Just give me the list. Because I don't want to, we don't need 6 different motions. So it's just. No,
I'm not going to strike them out. I'm going to make them subject to, if that's okay. One of them is, 2 of them are actually all set. 3 of them are actually all set. And 3 of them just need the inspection, either from the inspectional services or from the fire services, and one of them's an onset. So we were working today to make sure that all those were done. We think it's just a question of the paperwork not having caught up, because the businesses have told us that they've been inspected. So that would be the way that I would like to make my motion, Mr. Titlebaum.
Go ahead.
Okay. I move that under section 138 Mass General Law for the year 2021, we authorize the renewal of 1 common victual all alcoholic beverages license issued to Little Harbor Country Club, Inc., DBA Little Harbor Country Club, 1 Little Harbor Road, Wareham, Mass. No holds. Number 2, common vic all alcoholic beverage license issued to Point Independence Yacht Club, Inc., DBA Point Independence Yacht Club, 15 Independence Lane, Onset, Mass. No hold. Number 3, common vic all alcoholic beverages license issued to Project Half Shell, Inc., DBA Quahog Republic, 197 Onset Avenue, Onset, Mass. Hold for inspectional services. Sign off. Number 4, common vic wines and malt beverages license issued to Sienna Cafe LLC, DBA Americana Cafe, 208 Rear Main Street, Wareham, Mass. No hold. Number 5, common vic wine and malt beverages license issued to Melissa Clements, DBA Cape Cod Lobster Rolls, 239 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass. Inspection hold, please. And number 6, common vic wines and malt beverages license issued to Stashes, Onset Beach, 182 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass. Inspectional services and the fire department holds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Judy and a seconded by Patrick. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500.
I just want to say that the office has been working very hard with all of our licensees, trying to make sure that these are getting done in a timely fashion. Also, I know that Mr. Slavin had mentioned this earlier, but for outdoor seating, all the people, all of the business owners who had that opportunity before should apply for it now, because we are in the process of issuing some tonight. Okay, so I will make a motion to approve a temporary outdoor seating all alcohol beverage license. Now, number 1 to Al and L Corp, DBA Ella's Wood Burning Oven Restaurant, 3136 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, no hold. Number 2, Lindsay's Inc., DBA Lindsay's Family Restaurant, 3138 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, no hold. And number 3, Red Robin International Inc., DBA Red Robin America's Gourmet Burgers and Spirits, 2421 Cranberry Highway, Suite 350, Wareham, Mass.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Judy, seconded by Jim. Alan? Roll call vote. Alan?
Thank you. Yes.
You're probably wondering, like, what does he want from me? Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, 500 on those. We know there will be more coming in, folks, so don't worry. I'm sure some of your favorite eateries will be on agendas soon.
Yeah,
nothing bad's going on there.
Again, Peter, we want to please ask the restaurants. They've had a very tough year to please step up. This is an opportunity, and I don't know how long the governor will allow us to keep doing this. I'm hoping this is permanent.
Well, didn't he just update the emergency legislation or get the legislature to do it so they could do it through December for this year? I thought he had taken that step, but I might be.
I don't think that's happened yet.
Okay, maybe it was just a proposal.
Yeah, but please step up and take advantage of this.
Yeah, people like dining outside, so take advantage of it. Town business, COVID-19 update. Go to the town administrator, see if he has anything.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only update was we had 35 confirmed cases in town with no deaths last week. Great. I do want to say before when we get into the warrant articles, the solar pilot one, it looks like it's still got has the numbers in there, including the megawatts plus the revenue. Those megawatts, that grid, I think was not, the addresses are supposed to be in there, but not that grid, because those could be plus or minus. In other words, if the final construction is a half a megawatt smaller, it's going to be less revenue. So I'm just concerned that maybe Rich can let us know. I don't think we can bind that on there. We're basing it on sort of, it's always the final build out does the solar pilot.
Yep.
You're talking about Article 7, Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah. So
the one with the numbers, the projected revenue?
Yeah, so the addresses need to be in there, but the projected revenues do. Yep. And the megawatt size, really, megawatts you can do plus or minus. I mean, even the revenues I would not put in there until the final. You can have it in the explanation, you can have it, but I don't think we can vote on those as a flat revenue, because
okay, when we take up that article, then I will say with striking system sized and the proposed obligation.
No, you're going to leave the system size in. You're going to take out the proposed year one tax obligation, is the way I just heard him.
Right, I said you would have a plus or minus on the system side,
right? Or
you can just strike it out. It really,
I would just strike it out, keep it simple.
So.
Okay.
So that'll be the motion when we get to that, because we're gonna vote to put these on individually.
Yeah.
So.
I just, as you know, my little critters might turn into pumpkins later. I just didn't want to miss it.
Oh, I've got it, and I printed it out so I could mark it up as we were going through it. So
yeah, I just marked mine up too, and I'll let whatever we do tonight, I'll make sure that I email Cassie this evening to let her know to fix that.
Okie doke.
Thank you.
Now, on to our favorite topic these days, the trash disposal update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, the updated list for, I was going to say delivery days, but pickup days was uploaded to the town website. And column F, when you look in there, some of the streets that are longer. So think about Main Street. It shows where it's broken up for the days.
Good. I had a lot of inquiries about that. And Onset Ave, for example, was another one. And there are some other things in there. And just so people know. They look and they say, okay, well, the street that goes around that all the side streets connect to is Tuesday, but all the side streets are Thursday. What's up with that? I don't know. I mean, I don't see how they've mapped up the routes. That's not something that I've looked at or had access to. But I think, with the 2 days coming up, everybody just, please be patient. If you know that your trash is supposed to be out on Thursday and you put it out on Thursday and it doesn't get picked up, give us a call, let us know. We need to know. The first couple of weeks that some of these drivers are going to be, I think a lot of them are already familiar with town because ABC's done business here, but there's still going to be some people that get missed, and just let us know and we'll let them know and we'll get it fixed. Just ask you to be patient. Is there anything else you have to add to the trash, Derek?
Yeah, Friday is Good Friday, which is a contractual holiday. So the what do you call it? The transfer station will be closed on that. So I want to make sure I'll get that up on the website as well, and maybe see if we can't put a sign out for folks that are frequent flyers.
Yeah, I would ask also, why don't we get an announcement out to the papers too, or maybe the papers could just do that on their own.
Yeah, so
that would be helpful.
I think what we'll do is for that as well, we're going to start creating lists similar to ABC, so everybody knows what days are holidays and don't count. So
yeah. Okay, thank you.
And again, yeah, and Thursday, April 1st, that's the first day. So
yep,
it's coming fast. And I know there's some people that may need some reasonable accommodations. I think some have reached out. Please, I think at this point, if it has not been addressed, please email me directly. That's D as in Delta Sullivan at wareham.ma.us, dsullivan@wareham.ma.us, and we'll see if we can accommodate.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Alan?
Just make a comment. I had a set of barrels delivered to my 2 garages. I think they thought it was a house, and they were picked up today. So those people that are waiting for the barrels to get picked up that didn't ask for them, they should be happening now. Thank you.
Okay, Patrick.
I'm all set.
Jim.
Just to let you know, there's a slight uptick in numbers on Saturdays now, probably 100 more using the transfer station. We'll see that increase more so as the summer comes along. I would like to see somehow some educational material put out of recyclables, what is, what isn't, so that people can become more informed, and hopefully we can, help the process move in a more smooth manner. Some plastics are, some aren't. Some are wanted, some aren't. The cleaning of, food containers and whatnot. So I know these informational flyers and pamphlets are available, and I did receive something from ABC this week, but it did not have that in it. So it's just something we should think of for the future, educating ourselves on what we can and cannot put in which receptacles. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy.
Yeah, I just have a question. I actually saw that posted on some website, Mr. Muni, so I don't know which one I was looking at about what was okay and not. And the pamphlets did go out. So it's a great idea. I'll double check. And if it isn't on the website, it should be.
I said the pamphlets went out. Sometimes, show people, the symbols, which ones we want, which ones we don't. Please clean them. Why? Blah, blah, blah. We should have done this all along, either recycling or whatever, and I want to say that would be the Regional Refuse District also. And as we're touching on solid waste, we might start to think about hazardous waste and what we're as a town going to do about it this year. I'm sure Mr. Sullivan has already scratched his head on that a little bit and probably look to see where we're going to get the funding for it. I think it's like $3,000 to $4,000 for the setup, and then the cost of the actual disposals. I believe the CMW is spending about $40,000 a whack total.
Yeah, 40,000 is a good number. I think. Yeah. I think the one time when they didn't do it for a year or something, it was monstrous. It was closer to 60. So, but I would say, even though we included other communities, I think a fair range is $40,000.
And then, sometimes towns will charge a small fee to actually try to help cover the cost if there's no room within the budget to do so. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Okey doke. Anything else, Judy?
No, I just want to point out that the articles for the town meetings that have already been posted are in fact on the clerk's website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't have anything further on this. Let's see, we have a ratification of a hire.
Yes, we do. I move that we ratify the hiring of John Linares, laborer at WPCF.
Second.
Okay, motion to ratify hiring by Judy, seconded by Alan. Any comments? Okay, roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. Welcome to employment with the town of Wareham, Mr. Linares.
My next guest has got back from a visit to these border facilities.
Okay. ABCC seasonal renewal certification for 2021. This is to certify our population to backstop the number of liquor licenses we have.
Right. The information was sent out in the packet. I have the breakdown in case anybody of you want to know it, but I move that we send the ABC seasonal renewal certification for 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Alan.
Yeah.
Roll call. You got a question, Jim?
Yeah, yes, I do. How many do we have for seasonal? And is there a cap on seasonal related to increased population?
No.
Okay, I can tell you what we have. For year-round retail package, all kinds of alcohol, 13. Common vic, all kinds of alcohol, 31. Clubs, all kinds of alcohol, 2. Veterans, all kinds of alcohol, 2. Common vic wines and malt, 3. In-holder, all alcohol, 1. And then seasonal, common vic, all kinds of alcohol, 2. Club, seasonal club, all kinds of alcoholic, 1, and common vic wines and malt, 3.
Well, thank you. Would you forward that list to me?
Certainly. Yes, of course. I'll have Cassie do that tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And could you ask Attorney Bowen to clarify my question related to, is there a cap on seasonals? I was reading through the section, was it chapter 138?
Mm-hmm.
And I was unclear on that. I thought there was, but maybe there's not. I mean, we're not even close to it, but Mr. Teitelbaum, would you allow Attorney Bowen to?
Yeah, absolutely. If you could find it. If it's in 138.17, then that's a very long section to plow through.
That's a different one.
And Mr. Chairman, without actually cracking chapter 138, it's my recollection that there is a cap on the number of seasonals, which is one reason why you go to the exercise of establishing what your summer population is, because the number of seasonals is tied to the increase in your population during the summer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that number generally stays pretty much the same, if I remember correctly. And it has for a few years. Are we still at 22,43.5?
Yes.
Yeah. It's been that way for a while, Jim. Maybe we should run. I just do a census of summer people, though. That's the funny thing.
I'm just looking at what we have and what we could accommodate. So that's why I ask these questions, for future planning and thought. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we have the motion and a second, so we just have to vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. We'll get that out to the ABCC. Discussion and vote to authorize letter in support of Littleton Drive tax credit application to Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development. I'll actually bring Ken in if he's up on the screen. And he can speak better to the what the tax credit program is.
Here he is.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The low-income housing tax credit is a program that's either 9% or 4% tax credits that are available for projects that provide affordable housing that meet the state goals for subsidized housing. They are issued each year in the springtime as a program, and then there's a smaller round in the fall for so every 6 months there's a chance for to get selected for the low-income housing tax credit program. Typically, it takes a couple of times to at least twice to get onto the list because it's a popular program and there are a lot of applications for the tax credits.
Okay, questions for Director Buckland. Alan.
I'm not sure it's really necessary. Do we know what the approximate tax credit they're looking for?
They're looking for both 9% and 4%. I believe it's, no, I probably shouldn't say it because I don't know for sure.
Okay, I'm just, so the public understands, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks. Patrick?
No.
Jim?
Just a quick one. Do the developers generally sell the credits out in order to offset? Is that the idea behind it to investors?
Yeah, they take the sale of the tax credits to raise the cash for the project.
Thank you.
Okay, Judy?
No, I have no questions, and thank you, Mr. Buckland.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either. Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing further, this will be a vote to authorize a letter in support of their tax credit application.
I move to authorize issuing a letter in support of the Littleton Drive tax credit application to the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. Get that letter out tomorrow. Now we need to have Madam Moderator brought in her role as the chairman of the Police Building Study Committee. She's going to give us an update.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I know you have a lot of business to still get to, so I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I do think it's important that when you have a committee that's out there working on a project for the town, that we check in every now and then and let you know we are out there working and we're not just not having meetings and where we are, you know, at this point in time. So we've spent the last year doing all of the groundwork and preparation so that we could put together the actual request for proposal and move forward. And there's an enormous amount of information that has to be gathered for that. So we've spent the past year doing that and putting the programming and the scope together. And we're at the point where we felt that we were ready to pass that on to our town administrator, who's the procurement officer, and let him do his part of that. And so we're hoping that within the next few weeks that would be ready to go out to bid and move forward, and we can get down to the really important part of this whole project, and that's to hire someone to do the actual feasibility study. So we've been working very diligently, and I just wanted to let you know, where we are with that. And if there's anything that you want us to focus in on while we're waiting for the RFP to go out, if there's anything that you can think of that something else that, we haven't included, we should include, now's the time to speak. We think we've covered almost all our bases. We've had 2 other studies, so it was really helpful to look at those 2 studies and see what was included in those. We visited quite a few police stations that were just recently built. We've talked to many police chiefs. We've talked to those who have gone and done studies like this before us to get some good advice. And so I think we're at the point that moving forward with an RFP can happen in a short period of time. So just wanted to update you where we are with it. And we are going to keep working very hard so that we can make this happen. So just wanted to bring you an update.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just I appreciate Claire on this. I'm not going to say Madam Moderator because this was Claire Smith who did the work, and everybody else on the committee. And this is a really important project, as you know. It's potentially a $14 to $21 million project, and one of our goals has been trying to find funding for this, because we know without, the taxpayers just really helped with the new elementary school. And we're trying to find outside sources and ways to fund this, because I gotta tell you, if you've seen the police station, it's, and Alan, please don't speak.
I can't say hellhole anymore.
Yeah, it has its issues. And I gotta tell you, the leadership from Claire and the group has been tremendous. And we will get this RFP out. And if people wonder why, and this is sort of what Don was talking to beforehand, why we are pursuing ways to generate revenue outside of taxes, outside of the residential tax base. These are some of those projects. This is what we're trying to do. And we're trying not to do it on the back of the residential taxpayers. We're trying to expand our businesses and pay for projects such as this. And this is one of the things we do. So thank you, Claire. Thank you to the whole committee, everybody involved. I mean, from drone footage I've seen to everything, they've been tremendous.
Yeah, I think that's very important to let people know too, that we did do some drone footage, which is up on the town website. Naturally, we've looked at all of the properties that the town owned. Also, we looked at any properties that might have the acreage that would be needed, that even if we needed to buy it. And the issue becomes, because you're dealing with EMS, it has to be centrally located. So I know a lot of people feel that the Deacon School would make an absolutely wonderful site, and we agree, totally agree. But unfortunately for the EMS, it's just too far out. And so, we had to sort of set that aside. But, we do have 2 properties that are of interest. We will still keep looking. But it was important that doing the RFP and having an engineer to come on board, we needed to have a footing to start with. So if people want to go on and look at the 2 properties, we hope to meet with the owner of a Cranberry Highway property and see if there would be any interest in either somehow coming up with an agreement for that property. And if not, the town owns the 26 plus acres on Minot Avenue. So it is up on the town website, and you can take a virtual tour of it. So the committee, everyone on the committee has had a job to do. And I will say we have one committee member whose only job is to look for money that might be available. So it's a great committee, and they've all worked very hard. And so we're just going to keep plugging away and make this happen somehow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Patrick, of course, is on that, so we'll rely on him to keep us up to date as you do your individual meetings.
They're doing a great job. They're doing an absolutely great job. Everybody on that committee is serious about what they do and very diligent about it. And I know we're going to get a good product.
Peter, can I make a couple comments?
Yeah, great.
First of all, I'd like to thank Claire. Most people don't realize that back, I don't know, 2006, whatever it was, Claire, there was a study done. And I remember when I first started to get involved with the town, basically they brought the study in, and the particular Board of Selectmen at that time said, thank you very much, and threw it in the waste paper basket. And it was really disheartening to see that happen at that time. And I know this has been a real serious project for Claire to get done because of what happened before. The only thing that I would request and ask help for is to come up with a location, get it finalized. We didn't miss, but because we weren't ready, but we had a $13 billion MARC program through the congressman and stuff, either Keating or Austin Close. I believe Ken has actually filed for a couple of things on Friday because the due date was Friday out of the blue. But we have this infrastructure program coming with approximately possibly as much as $3 trillion. And again, we're going to have the ability to work with both of these congressmen to help us as well. So the sooner we can get things dialed in, and I'm not asking anybody to go out of the way and go crazy, but the sooner you get it in, the better chance we have to lock in this money. I don't think we're going to see this kind of money for a long time again. So this would really help the residents and make them realize we are trying. And to Mr. Jepson's comment, we don't have any grant writers, but all of us are basically becoming grant writers on our own. Thank you.
Peter.
Yes.
Just so you know, Claire went way above and beyond because she was on a committee way back. When I was chairman the last time back in the 2000 era, I talked her into going back on the committee and starting another one. And this would have been her second shot at it. Yep. And yes, as Alan suggested, they brought it in and they basically sunsetted the committee right then and there. And that was the end of it, which is just baloney, just so you know. But thank God that era of tyranny has ended. But then again, she took it again. So this is her third time, 3 times. So I think she wants to push this over the top and be done with it this time. She's not going to probably want to do it the 4th time. I know that.
No. Yeah. It's been 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Since the very first study. So the police department, EMS been very patient. 15 years ago, we were able to find EMS a place on Sandwich Road and got them out from the little shack behind the police station and got them into some accommodations. At least we were able to do that. And that was something that I was able to help facilitate with David Evans, with the owner of that property. So it's been 25 years. We need to move forward, and we're really going to do our best.
We really do. I mean, it's really time. We can't put this off any longer. It's got to happen.
And Patrick, you know what they say, 3rd time's a charm. So.
Well, I remember, by the way, it was the 3rd time with the middle school. We did the middle school. Does everybody remember that? Took 3 times to get that one accomplished, right? And, and you remember the police station used to be under the, what's the town hall now? Mm-hmm. Remember? They used to be in the back underneath.
And the jail.
Yeah, in the jail.
And the court.
Yeah.
And the courthouse.
It was a courthouse, Of course, everybody probably doesn't remember that originally. It was a courthouse.
Yeah, that was up on the top. Was that the top floor or the main
top
floor?
Right.
Top floor. Yeah. Yep. On the right at the top.
Right. And part of Derek's conference room was the judge's chambers. Remember?
That's correct.
Because it was the only room that had a private bath in it. Remember, it had a bathroom in it. Derek never uses it. He has his own. He uses the one in the hallway like everybody else, and he's in the corner. But that little conference room that he has, that was the judge's chamber.
Yeah, and the bathroom, the night storage room.
And it had a safe in it too. Big safe, one of the big safes on it. So it's interesting. We've certainly changed a bit. But I'll tell you what, if you go in that town, you go in that police station, I hate to say this, but if you went in this police station right now, you'd be appalled. People are, look where the desks are and just see. I mean, they're sitting almost in the hallways and everything else. I mean, it's just awful. Just absolutely awful. They really need to come into the 21st century,
Yeah. Well, we look forward to the next update and
thank you, Claire.
We'll go from there.
You're welcome. We'll do a full report for the annual town meeting.
Great. Okay. Discussion of votes for spring special with an annual town meeting warrant. Judy, you got your score sheet out?
Yes, I do.
Where are we at? We haven't put any on because we haven't put any on.
Right. So we're talking about this.
Starting with Article 1, I'm just going to go right through. I'll ask for motion on Article 1, which is budget transfers. This is a usual article to shift money around within the lines.
Yeah. Do you want me to make the motion? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Okay. I move that we include Article 1, budget transfers, on the special town meeting to be held April 26, 2021 within the annual spring town meeting.
Second.
Motion by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. Next up, Article 2, fund the parking program.
I move that we add Article 2, fund the parking program, to the April 26, 2021 special town meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. Next article, spring 2021 capital. I'll ask the town administrator if he has anything to describe or mention at this point.
No, Mr. Chairman, we had the last two capital planning meetings. I apologize. The first one got Zoom bombed, and then my life bombed the second one. So let's. I'll follow up.
That's bad news.
That's yeah. I'm sure she's very cheery to hear that. Okay.
I said life, not wife.
Oh, I thought you said wife.
No, I said life.
I thought he said wife too.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
You better go to Whiteside School of Enunciation. You're really going to get in trouble.
I move that we include Article 3, spring 2021 capital item on the warrant.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
I'd like, we're not sure what we're going to put on there, correct?
That's correct. We don't know the dollar amount, but we do know that that will be coming up after he's able to have the meeting that doesn't get dive bombed.
So when will that meeting be? Do we know? Is there a scheduled meeting at this point in time?
It has not been scheduled at this point.
Okay, and what is the cutoff date for us to vote and move the warrant to the FinCom and the moderator?
We are creating the warrant now, creating motions to get those articles onto the warrant. We haven't yet come to the stage where we would be voting to whether we recommend them to be approved or not.
But is it 14 days before special town meeting?
Well, no, you're talking about what the motion is going to be at town meeting, Jim, and that can actually be done literally 2 minutes before. Derek has to, he has to meet with the capital planning committee and get I believe their vote for certain items that would go into this. But that's separate and independent from whatever the motion that goes up is. What he has to do is a precursor step, but it's probably going to require an administration handout for town meeting, if that's what you're getting at.
Well, what I'm getting at is that we have to provide the warrant towards the FinCom, to the FinCom and the town moderator so many days before town meeting.
Oh yeah, that's going to take place. Yeah, that takes place tomorrow.
And what is it, 14 days before we have to provide that to them? That's what I'm asking.
Why have they lost control of the border? And they will tell you.
All right, somebody's got to.
That's bad. I mean, that's so. That's what I was asking. Maybe our attorney Bowen could interject on this, if you'd let him.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Selectmen meetings, I always have to have the chart in front of me to keep track of it, and regrettably, I don't have the chart right in front of me, so I have to apologize.
Oh, okay, so I thought one was 10 days, and the annual was 10 and the special was 14, or vice versa.
Yeah, well, the warrant will still get delivered
right.
you know, to the finance committee chairman and the moderator, but it just won't have the motion amounts in them.
Right. Well, I'm not going to. I'll just vote present. How's that?
Okay. Thank you. Judy.
Yes.
Motion. Yes.
Yes.
And myself. Yes. So it's 401 with Jim voting present. Just make the notation. Transfer of available funds. This is. Do you have any funds to transfer, Derek? Or
no, I don't think we're going. Usually, that's when we're putting them into either the stab for the stabilization fund or some of the other ones. We are just double checking on some of the COVID expenses and things, but we can always do that through transfers, budget transfers. So, but I would just put this on there in case there's ever an issue.
I move that we include Article 4, transfer of available funds into the special town meeting warrant for April 26th.
Second.
motion by Judy, seconded by Alan. Any discussion on this one? Roll call vote. Alan.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. PEG access receipts to Wareham Community Television. This was the thing that we actually, we were voting on the other week. Was it last week? To amend the contract so they could get the hardware stuff that was in the contract. So that will be part of the number that goes in the motion for town meeting.
Yeah, and I think that number we would have for them is $187,779.50, and that probably sounds a little low. But if you remember at the, I think that's left over. We'd previously put forward another amount of $64,500 to them that we would have usually not have given at that point. So,
yep.
Okay, I move that we include Article 5, PEG access receipts to Wareham Community TV on the warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion to put Article 5 on, seconded by Judy, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. Home rule petition for solar wind taxation. This was the presentation that we got from the Director of Accounting, not accounting,
no,
Director of Assessing.
Yep.
Director of Assessment.
And this is
weeks ago, so.
Right. I move that we include Article 6, the home rule petition for solar wind wind taxation.
Second.
Motion by Judy. I'll give the tie to Jim.
Give it to Jim.
Roll call vote. Anything on this? Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick? I'll come back to him.
He's muted. Right?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500.
Okay, I'm going to move Article 7, the solar pilots, and I'm going to excise from the warrant article both the system size and the proposed year 1 tax obligation. So the grid will have the 3 addresses, and I can read them into the record if you like, and then it has the name Borrego Project Company name.
Yep.
That would be the grid that would be going in with this article.
Right. And those would be for 140 Tyhonet, 150 Tyhonet, and 127 Charge Pond.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
Can I have a second, please? Second by
Second.
Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim has a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. I know we don't put anything down specifically, but is there a set amount that we charge or that we receive per either DC or AC kilowatt or megawatt so that that could be included? I'm just, asking a question. I mean, they have to come up with there has to be a formula in which to come up with the amounts that they would propose, that were proposed previously, even though we don't know the exact size of the facilities and or the exact, then and of course, the exact amount of tax revenues or taxes in lieu or payment in lieu. So, you know, just a question on that. I mean, we don't have to do it this time, but I think for future, you know, in the future, it might be a good thing to be able to put into an article.
Mr. Titlebaum, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, Mr. Muniz, the article says to see if the town will vote to approve a payment in lieu of tax pilot agreement as negotiated between the town of Wareham and the developer of the projects under Borrego. So this is an ongoing, I hear exactly what you're saying,
right.
But it is to authorize the negotiation, and that's where the numbers would possibly be able to go up, be more attractive to us.
If you wouldn't mind, just I saw Mr. Bowen face pop up there. Maybe he wanted to address this. I don't know. No? Okay.
Yeah, we got a head shake, so that's a no.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, what we can do is in the with the Finance Committee and the explanation, because it's what, $12,000 per megawatt DC, escalating at a rate of 2.5% per year.
There you go. So, you know, I knew there was something there. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. So
that would be in the explanation, not in the article itself, sir.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't put in the
the
article itself, but put in the explanation.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But Jim, are you okay with that? Or
well, yeah, I just, you know, it's kind of nice to have things kind of ironed out and clear. And, you know, I'm still getting used to it. It's only my, I guess, my second year in. And I look at things a little different than, I guess, just the way things were. And that's why I question a lot of things.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think and you all know it's important for when I try and explain to people the importance of some projects and bring revenue into the community, they can actually understand what that means in true dollars.
Excuse me, Peter.
Yeah.
Very quickly, Jim, the Secretariat, particularly Department of Utilities, etc. There are formulas which they put out as far as tax credits, etc., which all bases on. I've got something somewhere because I was involved with the first one that the town of Wareham did with Sage Power. I'll get you the information of how they do all that.
Well, thank you. I'm good. Well, just, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so my motion, let me just restate it, would be to include Article 7, solar pilots, having stricken the last two columns as printed in the supposed warrant that we got into our packet.
Yep, you already made a motion and I already got a second out of Jim.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify it, sir.
Yep, and we're just waiting for Jim to cast his vote.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, I already asked you. Judy.
Yes.
People drive me crazy tonight. Myself, yes, 500. I'm losing track.
Okay.
Let's see.
Then the next one is Article 8, the marijuana delivery operators bylaw. Do you want Mr. Buckland to speak to this?
Yeah, please.
If he's here.
Yeah, he should be. I had asked him to be here to explain some of the articles.
Here he is.
Yep.
The bylaw being proposed is one for a new use that was that's been approved by the Cannabis Control Commission for a delivery operation, which is much like a retail operation, only it's solely by delivery rather than a brick and mortar storefront. The limitation that's being proposed is very similar that we've proposed and have adopted a restriction on the number of retail operations. So it seemed appropriate to also have a restriction on the number of delivery operations as well.
Okay, very good. Questions, Alan?
Basically, anyone who's a manufacturer, in theory, from the Cannabis Control Commission would be allowed to do this program as well. So we're going to limit it basically to only 3 of whoever we have for our manufacturers, correct?
Well, at this point, they're only offering the licenses to disadvantaged businesses, companies, and it wouldn't be open to all production facilities. The license allows them to buy goods from producers and resell them as a delivery operation.
Yeah, but that's only one phase, kind of what the overall, because they did propose, you know, for manufacturers to sell directly to the public. But that's the second. They have a different phase for those that are minorities, et cetera, to have the first shot going in. But I think overall it's going to be open pretty much. So the bottom line is we're just going to allow 3 total, and we'll have to pick out however that works out for us. Correct?
We had a fairly good example when we limited the number of retail operations to 3 and went through the process of selecting them. And we can do the same thing for the delivery operations as well.
And these particular retail operations, can they operate from any other town besides Wareham, or they have to be in Wareham?
The delivery can be out of town. What happens is the taxes from the sale, the 3% sales tax, goes to the town of origin.
So if they're in Bourne, just as an example, Bourne would get the 3%, Wareham would get nothing.
That's right. If they delivered to Wareham, sold it to somebody in Wareham from Bourne, Bourne would get the tax, the retail sales tax.
Well, I just want everybody to understand that will basically hurt the town of Wareham in revenues in the long term. I'm not sure how much it's going to be, but just everybody understands how this works. Thank you, Ken.
Sure.
Mr. Titlebaum, I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
Are you done with the presentation, Mr. Buckland? I had to step away for a moment.
Yes, was there a question you had for me?
Yes, yes, sir. What happens if we don't do this?
Assuming we decide against having a license for this purpose, which we can do, we don't have to issue a host community agreement. What happens is if a neighboring community allows the delivery license in their town and creates a host community agreement for that use, that business, then they can sell to people within the town of Wareham, and we don't get the tax benefit from the sales. It cuts into the retail sales as well as the assumption.
Correct.
Yeah, my thought is it behooves us to pass this because we want our marijuana delivery operators going into other towns.
You betcha.
So
but it goes both ways, right?
We don't want them coming here. We want ours going there.
That's right.
Yes, I understand that. But if the surrounding towns also adopt a bylaw that lets them do this,
well, then it's a free-for-all.
Yeah, then it's a free-for-all. So the impact on Wareham sort of evens out to be, you know, presuming everybody else is going to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, but we need our army too. I think that's the issue.
I'm sorry?
Chairman, I think
an army of delivery people too.
Yeah, the goal is to beat people to the punch, have ours set up and established before the other communities can do it, so that ours are the ones that last and survive. And therefore, we're getting the revenue generation going into the future. So if they establish their footholds, have sound businesses, it is more likely that if somebody else in another community tries to set it up, they won't be able to come here because it's going to cost them more money, etc., unless they're building a better wheel, if you will, or a better mousetrap. So the thought is start this coming into our community, because if we don't do it, yes, we'll just have people coming in and doing retail sales, delivery, if you will, and we'll lose out on the revenue and the impact of the marijuana through deliveries coming to town anyways. And if we don't limit it, how do you stop without a bylaw to a number of delivery organizations, if you will. How do you stop and not give another one an HCA?
Yep. Okay, and I have another question. I'm sorry. Yep. Who is the grantor of the license to be a delivery operator?
Through the CCC and us through a host community agreement.
That's correct.
So we could authorize this and never issue any.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I will make note that one of the reasons the CCC did this was because their first whack at fulfilling the social equity goals of the law didn't work out so well. So they saw this as an opportunity to try to get more minority businesses involved. Certainly it's an easier business to set up than a whole retail operation, because you don't need to have, the storefront. It's, you don't need the personnel. You just need people to basically take orders and deliver the product. So that's the state goal with opening this up as well. So, Jim, you had a question, I think?
Oh, yeah. I know when we set up the amount of licenses for recreational, we went to the minimal number that we were required to provide. And I don't know if that was probably a good thing in the sense of, at the time, and people's concerns of the issues that may evolve. But I think we're handcuffing ourselves by limiting the delivery to 3. And as you said, I think a previous speaker said about the manufacturers being able to deliver, and then the equity individuals being able to deliver. I think the more people we have, the more companies that we can license to deliver would be beneficial to the town and not detrimental as far as revenues. So that's my only concern, is limiting it to the 3. We're already going to have manufacturers and whatnot being able to be licensed, plus just the delivery licenses, which is a separate license. So I think we should have more than 3. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Director Buckland, is there something you'd like to say in regards to why the number 3 was presented?
The 3 retail licenses were based on the Cannabis Control Commission regulations that said if the town had voted yes for sale of recreational marijuana, that they had to authorize at least 20% of their liquor licenses as the number of retail operations. And at the time we had 13 full licenses, and so 2 was the 20%, or 3 was the 20%. I get my math right.
Round up.
So the idea was if 3 was a workable number for the community, then we allow 3 delivery licenses as well. And the Board of Selectmen, even if an operation is ongoing as the manufacturer of product, they don't get an opportunity to be a delivery of sales unless the Board of Selectmen issue a host community agreement that allows that to occur.
Correct. But why would we want to handcuff ourselves, or a manufacturer who wanted to enter into that aspect of the marijuana business in addition?
Because we want our retail operations to be successfully competitive as well. So we've already established 3 retail businesses, and we've made some great money from just one of the licenses in operation at this time.
That's the only operation, yeah.
So we want to keep them ongoing and vital.
I understand what you're saying. I see it as a competitive market, and I think by limiting it, you drive the market up, and by having competition, you tend to drive the market down as the cost factors. So, and you know, overall too, you know, limiting it to the areas where a previous speaker earlier during citizen petitions had addressed it. I agree with him on that individual on that also. I think we have to be a little more open-minded into some areas who could benefit by it, by expanding where we could have recreational licenses and or the number of licenses. Thank you.
Okay, Judy.
I don't have any other questions, nor did I make a motion, I don't believe.
No, you didn't.
Okay, so I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Alan.
Just one point. You have a minimum, of course, there is no maximum. I believe one of the first towns that got their stuff through, I think it was the college towns, Northampton, whatever, they didn't put they had no minimum at all. They had no maximum. If 100 people wanted to apply, they could apply. And they had probably 7 or 8, and probably 3 or 4 folded very quickly because it was just too much to make it work. We can always go back at the next fall town meeting. And if we want, we can change if it's necessary or not. This is in place now. This is a temporary thing. I know what Jim's talking about. We all know that Verilife would like to move, but they're restricted because of the institutional location. It really would be helpful actually if they could move, but that's up to the planning board, which actually takes care of what the zoning is, where they can go. So again, until the planning board makes that decision, our hands are tied. Thank you.
I know what you're saying. Do you mind if I speak there, Mr. Titlebaum? But I believe Mr. Buckland is as the director of planning and community development proposed this and will bring it to the planning board. And so, you know, I think as you're saying, we can come back to address it later, or we can address it now and then control who gets the licenses through the host community agreements, whether to grant or not to grant. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, can I add something as well?
Sure.
One of the reasons why we limited it in the beginning was because we just didn't know what the impacts would be. We didn't know how much money we would get. We didn't know how long the lines would be. We didn't know if we'd have some adverse impacts as a result of the businesses. It was all new. And now that we've had some more experience, we're probably almost ready to allow a free market kind of response to the businesses. But I think we're still in a sophomore phase of this and need to play it safe before we proceed with a completely open operation that's available to the businesses.
Alan?
Just to tack on to Ken, if everybody remembers, we had 3 licenses. We kind of got them signed up right away. We had host agreements working. We only have 1 operational retail license as of today. Now it's over, I guess it must be close to 2 years, I believe, but Jesse Pitts' operation in the industrial park is about to come online. Again, you know, these things take so long to get done. There's so much money involved in it. That's why they went to that delivery program for minorities, because they were basically locked out of getting anything at all, because you're talking $3, $4, $5 million investment right off the bat. So I'm very comfortable with the 3 to start with. And if it becomes necessary, or if this thing works out and see how it rolls out, then we can change it, because our experience so far has been that we have, I think, and Ken can correct me, I think we had 10 or 11 host agreements that we kind of put out there. And we only have a couple operations in town completely out of all that. So these things are just, we have no idea where we're going to be compared to what it will be, say, in a couple of years.
Right.
Okay. Anything further on this? Okay, want to make a motion, Judy?
I'll make a motion that Article 8, the marijuana delivery operators bylaw, be included on the warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, second by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Sure.
Judy? That's a yes? You thinking about it?
Reluctant, yes.
Reluctant, yes. Okay, I finally pulled it out of her. Myself, yes. 500. And, you know, just, you know, back in 2018, when we actually came up with the retail marijuana bylaw, you know, we always knew that eventually there would be some changes. I'm frankly a little bit surprised we've gone this long without any, but it is what it is. Thank you.
This is actually awful. This is cutting the legs out of some of your retail operations. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that the Cannabis Control Commission bought into this is ridiculous. But we're kind of stuck with what we got and whatever. But if it was up to me, this wouldn't even be allowed. You'd have to have a retail license in order to do retail business. If they wanted to have delivery, they could have let the retailers do it. Period. Well, you know this is ridiculous.
Well, you know what's interesting?
That's ridiculous.
Is, you know, they talked about social equity and, you know, getting minority businesses involved in this as part of the reparations for the disproportionate impact of criminal laws against minorities as it related to marijuana, you know, historically going back to the 30s, for God's sakes. And then they set up a retail system where you had to be a millionaire already to apply to get in the door. So, you know, now they're swinging the pendulum back the other way to try to say, oh, wait a minute, yeah, we forgot about that social equity piece. So let's throw a sop to the minority community.
Well, they did all they had to do.
Policy being made this way.
All they had to do was limit the fees that they're charging in order to get into this whole thing. And this
absolutely not. That's factually incorrect.
And look at who is that? Cut that person out. What are they doing online with us?
Yeah, this is it's not a public hearing, Mr. Goins. So I'm going to have to ask you not to talk. Alan?
Just to again tack on to Patrick, what happened was basically that the manufacturers and also the social equity actually sued the Cannabis Control Commission. And there was a lawsuit about this whole thing. And like the Cannabis Control Commission basically kind of settled with them rather than go through court and everything else. And we got stuck with this. Just so everybody understands, this was not something that I could say that, you know, being involved with the MMA and stuff, we were not for this at all as a group.
That's a bad plan.
Yeah, and the Cannabis Control Commission basically caved rather than go through a big lawsuit. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
That's what happens when you cave in.
That's always what happens.
The whole genesis of this law was, you know, it was presented as for the little guys, and yet it was pushed by the big guys. So it is what it is. So that's
Article 9. I move that we include Article 9, the updates to the Fema floodplain bylaws. Would second.
This is about time we get this one on.
Mr. Buckland would like to address it.
This is something that we've been provided the new maps. We tried to get this done last year. There was a administrative problem with the federal government and the state government. So we have an opportunity now that we have to get done before July 2nd to adopt the new floodplain maps and the new regulations that the state has asked for all the communities within the Southeast region here that have the new maps.
Yep.
Okay, questions, Alan?
No, this has been dragging on. If we don't get this done, we end up with no FEMA insurance for our residents, among other things. And it's just not feasible not to get this thing done.
Yeah, Patrick.
No, this has been hanging around for way too long.
Jim.
Is this just the map portion, approval for the floodplain maps? Or is this the maps and the language that we had discussed earlier, and you had conversation with the state czar of floodplains and said we could keep our language as proposed? Is the language as we already have it now, not allowing new construction or development in the velocity zone or AE zone still included, or has it been stricken? I couldn't find it. That's why I'm asking. That's why I was saying earlier I couldn't find some information.
This is for both the maps and the zoning bylaw, the overlay district. The requirements of the state were that we adopt the regulations as they had proposed, which separates the building code issues from zoning issues for development. I asked the state at your request as to whether or not we could prohibit development in the V zone, the wave action zone. And they said, yes, that we could. At present in our zoning bylaw, we do not prohibit construction in the V zone. It's a confusing bylaw at this point because one part says that construction is prohibited. And in the next section says that it's possible under certain conditions. So what we have is the model bylaw that the state provided us with, and I did not include a restriction against construction in the V zone because it's not in there now.
I thought we had come to the agreement that you were going to send over to the clerk's office the changes as we had discussed, yourself, myself, and Mr. Teitelbaum, not striking the first section. And I had expected that. And when I didn't see a clarification, that's why the question's coming up now. If anything, why don't we strike the second line of that and leave the first line?
I think you're confusing the existing zoning bylaw with the proposed model that the state has required for us. What we have to do is add to the model if you want the restriction against construction in the V zone.
Well, we need to do that before I can vote to put it on. I need to see what we're doing.
Whoa. Why would we be putting a restriction?
Mr. Tropiano.
1 second, let Jim finish, Patrick.
And we had discussed this and things have gone back to where it was and it's coming just exactly the way where it was and not as a suggested changes in which the state agent had said we could do. And we all voted not to allow construction in a velocity zone last year. And I don't know why we're flip-flopping back and forth. I don't know why this hasn't been understood. Thank you.
Peter, are we talking about new construction in a velocity zone or a replacement in a velocity zone?
Well, that's a question, Ken.
What?
It applies to both new construction.
So you want to restrict people who have a house in a velocity zone to get wiped out so they can't replace it?
No. New construction.
Well, he's saying both.
No, you can do replacement.
Jim, it's not you to answer this. He needs to answer this.
50% of the structure damaged. And I'm not too worried about the AO zone. Is it AO zone? AE zone?
AE.
Yeah, so much as a velocity zone. And I've looked at this and thought about it. I think it's foolish to build anything in a velocity zone. I think it can damage us all on insurance premiums if we get a major storm, because they spread the hurt. Insurance companies never lose. Thank you.
Yeah, but let me finish what I was saying now, okay?
Go ahead.
We are not going to stop people from replacing their damaged houses. And by the way, they could be damaged. One time, Swiss Beach was wiped out on the front, and the houses on the front were in the back. They actually moved to the second row of houses, okay? Yeah. But the people were able to replace them. Some of them had to be raised to elevate above the elevation line, but they were raised. Of course, they raised them to 15 feet. And then we just raised the thing to 17.3 feet, in which case it put them back in the velocity zone, which is kind of ridiculous. But you don't tell me that we're creating a law that says if their houses are destroyed, they can't replace them.
No, I don't want to do that at all.
Well, but this is
I just don't want.
Wait, why do you keep butting in? I'm asking him.
Listen, all right, enough.
You just said both.
No, you go through me. That's how the meeting operates. Patrick, state your point.
Well, I just stated my point, and I asked him, and he said both new construction and replacement were not allowed. And I'm concerned about that.
Okay, well, I'll ask the planner to clarify that if there's a clarification, and then I'll go back to Jim.
That's all I want to know. I'm trying to get that answer.
Good.
You can write the bylaw in any way you want to, as long as the model is maintained. You can say that there's no new construction in the V zone if you want. You can say that you can't build if you increase the cost of construction more than 50%. If you do say you can't build, you're potentially liable to a takings issue, where you'd have to purchase the property for the restrictive regulation in place.
Okay, so in this case, I agree with Jim for new construction. New construction is not a problem. I don't have a problem with saying no new construction in velocity zone. I have no problem with that. But if a person loses their house or they want to, add a deck or whatever, they should be able to do it like everybody else, but meet the present day requirements. If that requires them to be at 17 feet, then they have to be at 17 feet. And of course, then the water will go underneath and they're actually literally out of the velocity zone. So as long as that's the case, but I don't want to hear any of that business that people have damaged houses because of a storm. They can't replace them, whether it's 50% or 100%. I don't want to hear that.
Okay, thank you. I have one question, but it's related to this, and I'll let you go, Alan, but this is to council. What is the current impact? And I haven't followed this since law school, so that's why I'm asking you. The South Carolina Coastal Commission case, I'm sure you remember that one. How is this applicable to this bylaw, and on which side of the takings issue would it fall?
Well, of course, you'd be applying Massachusetts law, but anytime you get regulation that eliminates all possible use of the property, you leave yourself open to a regulatory takings claim. So that's the short answer.
Well, that's another issue.
Yep.
That's another issue. That could cost us a lot of money.
You betcha.
That property's pretty valuable.
And just back to Ken. Again, my real concern is that we have to get this passed before, I think it's what, July 1st, Ken?
July 2nd.
July 2nd, sorry, I'm off the day. So the question is, as it's written right now with the concern Jim has as far as new construction, can we change that here now, or do we go to town meeting and make the change? We go in and take the article and make a change on the floor.
I would recommend that you include the warrant article with the restriction against V-zone construction, new construction in the V-zone if you want to at this time.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to go to town meeting and present a motion that makes it more restrictive. The moderator will probably view that as out of scope, and I'm kind of speaking out of turn because it's her
He
call.
certainly will.
But
it's exactly why I'm asking.
Yeah,
it's exactly why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I just get this resolved so we move forward and get this done correctly. We cannot afford to not get this done before July 2nd. Hurricane season comes in August and September, and if we have people with no insurance because of this, I'll be moving out of town before anybody else does.
You're shutting the lights out too?
Oh. And I'm going to turn the lights up.
But may I speak there, Ms. Butterbaum? What I was saying earlier was that current language states that if you have a damaged structure of more than 50% of the cost to replace, I believe Mr. Buckland had clarified that a little bit, that you couldn't rebuild. And I agree with what Mr. Tropiano said, that if you had a structure there, you should be able to rebuild to current heights. And
absolutely.
And but I have a problem with allowing new construction in velocity zones. So that's where, and I've been very consistent about this. And again, on the AE zone, I'm not so concerned looking at the flood maps. Most of that's laid back a little bit further from the coast, a little higher elevation, I assume. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a little further in. Some of the impact of the wave structure, I guess that's why it's a different zone, is absorbed. So, you know, my concern is new construction in velocity zones. And back, I guess it was Hurricane Gloria or Bob is when we implemented that, which was, when was that, like around 90 or something, 80 something?
Bob was 91 and Gloria
91.
Right.
91.
So, you know, I just don't think we should go backwards on it. I agree with the part on the, there's two parts. One is the maps, not a problem. That's a separate article, actually, correct? Accepting the flood zone maps. That's a separate section with the zoning. The other is the language,
correct,
which accompanies it. So we could vote, we accept the maps, and everybody's all safe and good. What's that, 222, or is that for something?
222. 420 is the overlay district, which you need to adopt as well with the maps so that you meet the requirements of the federal government by July 2nd.
Which we already have, correct?
You have a proposal for the bylaw at this time.
But we have one on the books. Do we have one on the books also?
We have an overlay district right now. Yes, we do. Yeah. But it has to be changed to meet the requirements of the federal and state government regarding the regulation of the floodplain construction.
So,
right.
So what you're saying then is they both need to get done, you know, on the warrant.
That's why they're both together in one article.
Yep.
But the person from the state that says we can prohibit new construction in the velocity zone. You saw the emails going back and forth.
You're correct. The town could adopt in the bylaw, put in a provision that there's no new construction in the V zone.
See, I don't have any problem with that at all.
Yeah, I don't really either. I mean, I know there's potentially a takings issue here, but I mean, how often is that going to come along? And then you can work with,
yeah,
we go to council on those. So,
but you know, there's a little catch here, and I don't know, maybe council will weigh in on this. If you hypothetically, if you put it up on stilts above the V zone, above the velocity zone, it's not in the velocity zone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So they still could build, but they'd have to put it up above the 17.3 feet or whatever it is. And the house would have to be completely out of the velocity zone.
I'm sorry, it would be out of the zone, but out of the wave action, but it would be in the zoning area.
I see, okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know, okay. So it wouldn't matter. So I don't have a problem with this. Look, I think Jim's right on this. You know, let's limit that. I mean, because we know that's a disaster waiting to happen. But the people that are already there, I don't want to hurt them at all. And I don't care if it's 50 or 100% of the house. I want them to be able to build that house back.
Mr. Titlebaum?
Yes, Judy.
My favorite word is Galveston.
Yeah, place of my birth.
Right. Which was totally rebuilt at least twice with federal tax dollars. Mm-hmm. We can name several other communities that have had that happen. I agree with previous speakers. We should not be allowing people to build in places that are going to be impacted by storm surges, by, whether you believe it or not, global warming and the increase in the height of the water. And I echo the sentiment that we should be allowing people who have lost current, structures to storms. That's just my statement of what I would like to see here.
Okay, well, I tend to agree.
So how do we, if that, Mr. Bowen, how are we going to accomplish that?
You would make a motion to put this on along with additional language prohibiting new construction in the V zone.
And allowing people to rebuild who've lost their home.
Right. Yeah, we should clarify that it's a new construction ban only, not a repair ban.
I think Mr. Bowen, do you want to chime in there, Attorney Bowen?
You're probably making him nervous.
I think, be perfectly candid, I think this is a really terrible process for trying to decide a very important issue, which will have a dynamic and real effect on individuals' property rights. Right now, I can't tell from all the comments that were made what it is exactly this article is going to look like. And I've been following the discussion very closely. So that's what's making me nervous. If I could just ask Ken a couple questions, maybe that would help me. With your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Ken, in summary fashion, what does the article as presented?
Good question. Restrictions in this area are very high because there's a deep.
What it does is that's the purposes of the floodplain overlay district.
I'm sorry, Ken, I can't hear you.
Someone else. Turn on the mic, please. Thanks.
Okay, don't read the bylaw to me, Ken. Just tell me what it proposes to do.
It proposes to put an overlay district that regulates the development within the FEMA flood districts as mapped.
And regulate in what fashion?
That they have to meet the standards of the bylaw, which are to reduce the loss of property as a result of a flooding event.
Okay, and how are those standards proposed to be changed?
They would be adopted as required by the state program.
And what does the state program require?
That there be a notice on variances from the building code. That there be relief granted under variances under the zoning bylaws if they met certain standards. That all construction be above the base flood level.
You've heard discussion about the velocity zone. How, if at all, does this affect construction in the velocity zone?
It makes construction in the velocity zone only possible in accordance with the building code, so that the building code applies to the construction and does not restrict in any other way per se.
Doesn't the building code presently apply to construction in velocity zones?
Yes, it does, and it has the 50% rule that Jim was talking about. It has the what's required as variances and what the standards for construction are.
So how, if at all, would this change what's currently in existence with respect to velocity zones?
It wouldn't change anything in regard to the building code requirements for velocity zones.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I honestly don't know what it is that the board would want me to do with this in terms of drafting it, because what I've heard Mr. Buckland say is very different from some of the assumptions that were being made about how things should be done in the velocity zones.
If I may speak to this.
Yep.
It's not an assumption, it's a bylaw that was passed by the town, that you can't do new development in velocity zones. So that's where I'm basing my facts on, not assumptions, facts from reading the zoning bylaw. And
but Mr. Chairman,
I thought
with respect,
go ahead.
With respect, how does a zoning bylaw that's already in effect pertain to whether this bylaw should or shouldn't be changed?
how does it affect, or that should or shouldn't be changed?
See, I've been asked to rewrite this bylaw to reflect the discussion that the board just had. And that discussion was about velocity zones, whether there should be complete ability to build or 50% destruction you can rebuild. And from what I heard from Mr. Buckland's answers, you've got a bylaw in existence. So I agree with you that this proposed bylaw doesn't change any of that.
It strikes the first line, which says no development, no new development in a velocity zone, which has a second line, which myself and I believe Selectman Teitelbaum, I don't want to put words in his mouth, said, well, there's a conflict here. So why don't we strike the second line?
Mr. Buckland, in view of Selectman Munice's observations, what is your opinion about striking the first or second line? And how would that have an effect?
By striking, it doesn't matter about striking them out because we're replacing the existing bylaw completely with the new state requirements. There are 3 points made in the existing bylaw. One say that there's prohibition of construction in the V zone. The second point says that if there's less than 50% of the value of the property, that it can be built as is, or if there's more than 50%, it has to be improved to the standards of the flood zone. And then the third point is that the new construction is possible if it meets the criteria about impact.
Well, Ken, let me ask you this: if the changes that Selectman Munice is suggesting were made, striking out items in the first and second line, how, if at all, would that affect current property owners?
It would put a restriction on the. It would prohibit the construction of and the use of the property in the V zone.
Completely?
For new construction.
All right. What about existing reconstruction?
That would go under the building code. We would not include that in the zoning bylaw. That was one of the reasons why they gave us a new bylaw to separate out the building code issues. The building code would allow the work to do if, depending on whether it was 50% or less of the value of the property.
With respect to new construction, does our current zoning bylaw and or the building code allow construction in velocity zones right now?
Yes, it does.
So if I understand this correctly, I'm just trying to make sure I understand it correctly, that's all. Whether it's a good idea, a bad idea, that's not my say. If we take out those 2 lines, all construction in the velocity zone would be eliminated, and that would be a change from the current regulatory system.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was all I had, Mr. Chairman. I think I understand what is being asked here. Thanks again for being patient.
Okay, what is your conclusion as to the advisability of putting in a restrictive provision in terms of takings problems?
Well, I think that whether you should completely prohibit all construction in velocity zones is a policy question for the board to decide. However, I think that you can reasonably expect that anyone denied permission as a result of this change would seek or would be able to make a regulatory takings claim in court, whether they could prove it by meeting the applicable standards like in the Dedham Turnpike case and things like that is another matter. But you would have a regulatory claim out there.
Well, I guess it's a question of how much risk does the board want to take on here?
Mr. Titlebaum?
Yes.
This time.
I don't think that we should be messing with what Mr. Buckland has proposed, although I agree with the comments that have been made about issues. You have made reference to the South Carolina land taking case. I am sure that people who own property today who would be denied building on it with the passage of this would feel very badly, and that we would have some issues. So my personal recommendation would be to put it on the way it's written.
Okay, Alan?
A simple question to Rich is, you know, no matter what we say, what is the best way for us to go ahead with this that puts the least risk to the town? Because again, my concerns has always been the financial stability of the town of Wareham. It's taken us a long time to get to where we are. And it was a hard road, and I don't want to see us go backwards.
Well, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, these are tough questions, and if Alan's question poses a mix of policy and legal thought. And so if I stray into policy, I'll accept the slap down that comes with the trespass. So there are two different concepts here. The best course in terms of an ideal situation, and the safest course in terms of accomplishing something, but not everything, but doing it in a way that's at least consistent with what I'll call industry standard. So my question would be, how are other seaside communities addressing this issue? And is Wareham sticking its head up like a blade of grass above the rest of the mown grass, or are we following the standard for seaside communities? I mean, that would be my question. The results of following one or the other are, I think, self-evident. If you're going to take the lead on something, be the trailblazer, you get the glory, but you get the cuts. If you're following standard practice, which is what other communities are doing to try to address velocity zone issues, you're not blazing a trail, but you're not getting the cuts. So it's really your call.
Okay, I'm going to try this. I move that we include Article 9, updates to the Fema floodplain bylaws as presented originally on the document that we got in writing.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Alan, you're muted.
Your microphone.
I'll get an answer for you. I'll second that.
Okay. Yeah, I think what Rich said to take the time at some point and look around at other communities and see what they're doing. And if there's a consensus that, you know, the others have, if the others have blazed the trail, then certainly this is something we could come back in the fall and look at and address the concerns of new construction of the velocity zone. Patrick, you have any thoughts on this? I'll go around the horn. Alan, we lost Alan. Patrick.
Excuse me. I'm on the phone to Serpent trying to get an answer for the other communities because they're heavily involved. I'll get back to you if I get an answer right now. Thank you.
All right. Patrick.
Okay, so I still don't like the fact that it leaves us with state code, which of course would eliminate the anything over 50%. And I'm still not happy about that. And I say nay.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, it doesn't eliminate projects over 50%. It just says that they have to meet the they have to raise the building up or flood-proof it in accordance with the building code requirements if it is over 50% of the value. It doesn't.
Okay. So they can still construct the replacement of their building.
That's correct.
So that's all I care about, because I want to protect the people that are already here. That's the most important thing. The people that want to come here, I don't really care. But the people that are already here, they deserve the protection.
So are you saying yay or nay?
I'm saying, I'm going to say nay, because I think Jim's right. I think we should limit new construction of velocity zones. I think he's right.
Okay. Well, wait to see what Alan says.
We got to get 13 communities or something.
Yeah, exactly. There's 27, right?
Unfortunately,
13 on this side, 13 on that side, and we're right in the middle, so we're the tipping point.
Yeah. Actually, if something in this, like in this particular deal, the reason we had a problem last year is if only one community that's in this particular zone, which also goes down to Rhode Island, doesn't vote for this, we all lose, just so you know. I've asked the executive director at Serpent to call one of the people that have been involved with this to see what the status is of the other communities. If you would like to, we could put this off till a little bit later on the articles and come back if you want an answer. I'm waiting for a call back, but I'm not going to get it immediately.
Yeah, why don't we go through some of the rest of the articles, because there might be a little discussion there too.
Could we vote on this next Tuesday?
No.
We got to close the warrant.
Got to close the warrant.
Okay.
Do you want me to withdraw my motion?
I'll withdraw my second also.
Okay.
We'll make a note to come back to it.
I'll try to do the best I can with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, by the end of the night, we're going to have to make a call one way or the other.
I know.
Okay, Article 10, Wetland Bylaw Amendment.
I'll let Mr. Buckland speak to this.
Oh, yeah.
There are two, this is a general bylaw, not a zoning bylaw. It's the wetlands bylaws of the town. There's two changes that are being proposed. One is a relief from the 50-foot setback, no activity zone. It's within the village districts of the WV1 and the OV1 in Onset and downtown, where it's a more urban environment and the development could occur within 50 feet of the shoreline. And so it would be restricted unless a waiver was granted. The other aspect of the change is the exemptions that are provided to municipal projects. It allows that a municipal project can be exempted from the bylaw review if it's exempted by the state laws and regulations.
Okay, but we've got the two different articles, but they're both affecting the wetland bylaw. So that's what we have before us. Okay, I'll start with Alan.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time. Unfortunately, I have a long, I'm probably going to do better than what Patrick usually does when he goes on about things. And I do apologize because we are all tired, but these particular articles are a real problem for me for many different reasons. And I think I need to explain what it is because I'm in a very difficult position with both of these. I'm going to try and cut some of the stuff that I wrote up ahead of time. Last night, the Conservation Commission met and Mr. Buckland survived the meeting, I think, more or less. They were extremely upset because they never heard or saw anything about this, and neither did the conservation agent. I think they felt they were blindsided is the best way to put it. As everybody knows, and we'll make it public in case they don't know, the chairman of the Conservation Commission is Sandra Slavin, obviously my wife, who makes life interesting for me, if to say the least. I want to clear up some information. There was some information put out on the newspaper this morning because of some of the things Mr. Buckland happened to make a comment on. What he forgot to tell people was that he had been working on these two bylaws for a year and a half, and that did not come out last night. And it came out, and I'm not going to get into the details, but someone took a hit for no reason. I'll leave it at that. And I'm not going to get into it at all because I was very disappointed. And I actually spoke to the town administrator saying, why did this happen this way? Because it's something that's been going on for a while, and I wanted to make sure I was right. And the answer is I was right. So again, maybe I'll get back to the newspapers and correct it. Once it's out there, you can't really take it back, but what was said was wrong. I'll leave it at that. Now, as we all know, the Board of Selectmen, we have the right to put articles in and not put articles in unless there's citizen petitions. For me personally, I believe town meeting government, the way it is, it's the voters that should be making decisions in life. Our decisions are basically to, vote favorable, unfavorable action, explain what it is. But, we tend to sit here and restrict articles going in, based on opinions. And each one of us has an opinion, but there's only 5 of us. There's 22,000 people in our town, and they have a right basically to express their opinion by voting at town meeting. On the first article, the way it's written, it definitely helps. A good friend of mine who I've been involved with is Danny Wareham for the project in Lower Main Street. Danny came to me after the project with, I'm not going to get into the details, but we had Greer Lumber, went to Mr. Baker, who had problems with the town, who said, the hell with the town, I'll leave this a mess. And we finally were able to work with him after a long time to clean up that whole mess there, including taking that lock, that big, wonderful amphibious thing, and cutting it into pieces. He spent $300,000 to clear up the lot. He was going to develop the project that he had planned years ago. And in the meantime, he went ahead and thought he could help the town because Verilife had severe parking issues. The town was all unhappy. And what happened basically was he offered to lease them for 2 years only, his lot, so they could park cars there. We had some residents in the area didn't like that, thought people would be hanging out in the parking lot, which is not the case. At that point there, Mr. Baker said basically, the hell with Wareham. I'm selling, I'm out of here. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. Mr. Warren came up out of nowhere and basically got a hold of me, and Danny asked me, what's going on here? What can I do? How do I do this? I gave him information. I explained what he'd have to go through. I told him the issues were going to be with the Historical District Commission and there'd be issues with the Wareham Conservation Commission due to the 50-foot no work zone, etc. He understood what was going on there. And like I say, I worked with him right along. I'll make a comment so everybody understands. I have no financial interest. I have no favors that are given to me. There's nothing promised or anything else. But because of my involvement with this to try and help somebody, even though I have no financial interest, I am going to basically, unfortunately, asked to recuse myself simply because there's an appearance of conflict, and I've always been very strict in my morals and ethics of what I do. And in this case here, if I don't sit here and say something with this, someone will come out and say Alan was playing games or something, or Alan was helping a friend out. And Danny has been a friend for a long time. It's kind of a shame because we have someone that has the financial means because he's so a good part of his business and really likes Wareham and wants to do this. So in this particular first article, I am going to basically abstain for that reason. On the second part of the article, I'm a little disappointed because the article basically, and the only reason I'm concerned is the article gives the town, which has had issues trying to get work done without additional expenses they don't think they should have, but it's going to give the town the right to do things that the residents will not have the same rights. They're going to be able to bypass certain rules of engineering, etc. But yet our regular residents, hold on, please, I'm getting a phone call on the other. I apologize. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Bill. Or Alan, excuse me. As I thought, you guys are good to go. Bylaw wording should be in there. Drop the tent and panels are part of that package. And yeah, that's the customary approach, accepting as presented. It will find its way back to Eric and then ultimately to us.
Okay.
And yeah, it sounds like you guys are on it.
Good enough. Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I'll stop just for a second. The recommendation from Serpent for the other communities is that we go ahead and pass it as written, just so you know. That's what's happening around us, all the other communities. I'm losing place here, whatever, on this. So on the second piece, I'm probably not going to vote for it simply because I think that we're setting a precedent that we're saying it's okay for the municipality to do things and not have to follow all the rules. But at the same time, our regular residents can't have that same advantage. And I think that's wrong. I think we should spend a little more time on the second piece and come up with a way to figure out what the impediment is, the impediment I should say is, and fix that rather than throw a whole bunch of dynamite sticks and blow everything apart. That's pretty much it. And I hope everybody understands where I'm at with this. Thank you.
Okay. Patrick?
All right. So as everybody knows, the village district is a problem when you add the no work zone. It makes it almost impossible to do anything down there. And I totally think that no work zone is not relevant for the area. It's Main Street, man. It's about making that into something. It's about a village district. It's about creating something that we can all be proud of down there. And to have a restriction that says, well, for the first 50 feet, you can't do anything is almost ridiculous. And especially if you go down where Danny Warren's trying to do that project, 50 feet back on where he is ridiculous. Now, remember, they built the condos there. They put a marina in there. I mean, there's a lot of things that, that are nice for the community, that are good for the community, that can happen. It would be nice if he had a nice place down there and a little marina for people to stop in and get whatever and so on. I think that would be nice. I don't think that should be turned down ever. That's a good project. Now, doesn't mean that you can't put some restrictions on them, because you can. Okay, but you gotta be able to do those kinds of projects down there as far as I'm concerned. Now, secondly, as far as the town goes, the town already has state regulation, all kinds of it. And no matter what they do with our conservation, no matter what we say down there about them not having to go through the process of having go through this process of doing a complete notice of intent and all that with our Concom, no matter whether we eliminate that completely, they still got to meet MS4. They still got to have state requirements that they're all going to have to meet. Now, I think it's ridiculous that the town has to pay money and go through the process every time they want to fix a drain. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of people in town, probably most of them that right now have catch basins and other things that need to be repaired that would agree with me 110%. And I've got in my email a list of them, probably 40 long, that want their drains fixed. But you know what I get every time I mention it? Well, we're going to have to go through an NOI, and we've got to start with the process, and it's going to take a while to get there, and each one of them individually. Look, the roads should be allowed to be repaired, period. If a road washes out, they should be able to fix it. If they want to change the drainage because the drainage is bad, they should be able to do it. There shouldn't be anything to stop the town from fixing its infrastructure. Nothing, in my opinion. And I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to vote for both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim.
I'm awake. I'm listening. I think
long night.
No, I think it's been an interesting night, and I thank everybody for the discussion, and I respect their opinions and their facts. And I have more. I think there'd be a way to resolve this by language allowing the Conservation Commission to make waivers related to setbacks within that 50-foot buffer. I think the process of moving it forward, I don't know if there was consultation with the Conservation Commission or not. If there was, great. And if their input was taken, great. If it wasn't, I have some concern about that. I understand about building, in the village area and in the pier. I think there was mention about the Harbor Masters building on Onset Pier. That's pre-existing. And if you need to make changes, I understand, and there should be a waiver to be able to do that. And I think people on the Conservation Commission are responsible and they would make reasonable decisions related to those. And for the town, I don't think they should have to pay filing fees with the town. I mean, that should be waived. If it's a repair, it should be like an agricultural exemption. It should be a repair. You know, just tell us you know what to do. You make sure you put your hay bales or your silt socks or your fencing,
exactly,
and move forward. So these things can be addressed. And I think it doesn't have to be a coverall and says, you know, you can do what you want, but giving them the authority or creating wording within the bylaw that gives them the right to create or to allow variances in these areas. I believe as it's written now, it does not state such. I didn't get a chance to look in the state's DEP, conservation bylaws, but that's what I got to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy.
Yeah, I'll comment on the second one first, which is the municipal exemption. There have been several projects that townspeople have been critical of because the Conservation Commission has said, no, to the town, you can't continue until you get an NOI or something. One of the examples is Standpipe Hill, I believe, and I believe the other example and they're both in Onset, had to do with removing the tree limbs or the trees that somebody had either cut down or had, trimmed, or maybe they'd been run over by a car or something. And what I was told was that the Standpipe Hill project came to a stop because of the NOI that would have had to have been filed, and the brush on the bluffs was left there because the Concom wanted more information. I think that potholes and storm drains and all of those kinds of things are part of public safety, to be honest with you. And that it makes sense to me to have the town employees under the management of the town administrator get what needs to be done. Before I continue to speak on the first one, I would simply repeat what Mr. Slavin said earlier, that these two concepts have been on the drawing board for more than a year. And I'm not sure why they weren't brought forward, but they weren't. And yes, I did speak with Mr. Buckland about them because I was concerned that we had things that were holding us up in terms of moving forward with the town. Mr. Slavin says that they have been on the drawing board for more than a year. I'll leave it at that. So the first one, which actually has to do with dealing with the 50-foot don't disturb zone, is specific to Wareham Village 1 and to OV1, which basically entails the pier. We're none of us old enough to remember this, but that has been Wareham River has been a working waterfront for more than 250 years. And for anybody to think that that is virgin territory would make them not very bright, in my opinion. So for the very interesting and very important concept that has been presented by Mr. Warren to be held up, because of a 50-foot don't disturb zone is silly. that's filled land. It's a bulkhead. What was parked on that property was a lark that was dripping diesel oil. There was a lightship stuck in the mud for 10 years. And if you have an aerial photograph of the prior to the destruction of the Greer property building and the moving of the larks, they are within about 12 feet of the waterfront or of the riverfront. I think it's very important for us to pass both of these on, to put them onto the town meeting warrant. Yes, the Conservation Commission does have the ability to provide waivers. I will leave it at that. I think that for us to lose an opportunity to start the revitalization of downtown is really a missed opportunity for this town.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, and I apologize to sort of hop on there. Yes, they have the ability to grant waivers after you've done all the engineering for the notice of intent to bring forward to them. So after you've spent all the money, then they can give you the waiver.
Or not.
I have been there at the Tremont Dam when it was proposed, the hay bales laid out, everything like that. I was told, no, you need a full engineering plan for this. I've been there where we, you know, on multiple of these where we're told, I'm sorry, but we can't do anything because we have that bylaw and we can't treat you any different. It's interesting because it is all taxpayer money at the end of the day. And with the scant resources we have, and frankly, to put it bluntly, I'm kind of sick and tired of getting our teeth kicked in and blamed that we can't do stuff and already being told we can do whatever we want. Why don't we just bypass the Conservation Commission? But we play by the rules. And this has been multiple years. And I will tell you, you have to spend the money before you can get to the Conservation Commission. Yep. So that doesn't help. I know the chairman is well aware of this with multiple conversations with myself. You know, can't not be our feelings on it, with multiple conversations with the director of municipal maintenance. If I thought that something would come out of it, I would gladly say hold off on this article in the municipal maintenance section, bring something back jointly. But it seems like it might be the same thing. Spend all the money, go through it, and then be told, I'm sorry, we can't treat you any differently. So I'd rather see what the taxpayers want to do on this and move forward.
Thank you. I've got a couple of issues with each of them. I don't think they're fatal, but I think they need to be addressed. I'll take the easy one first. The WV1 area is significantly different than Onset Village. In Onset Village, you basically got the pier, you got a couple of bridges, and there really isn't much else that you could really expect much to happen within the buffer zone, because most of the coastline down there is decree land. And you can't do anything with it anyway, because you can't go in there and obstruct the public easements, the rights of the public to go travel across the land. So you're not gonna, when I see stuff like filled tidelands right leading off, who remembers what was filled down there in 1877 versus what was filled out there in 1940 versus what was filled down there in 1953? I mean, I don't think anybody has that historical record any longer. Unfortunately, I think it passed with Marilyn Knowlton. So, we're not, language like that gives me pause about Onset. So I really think at this point, unless you limit it to the Onset Pier, the OV1 zoning district should be stricken from here. I don't think it belongs. I don't think one is like the other. As to the second bylaw on municipal maintenance, that is a little bit loosey-goosey in the language at the end, because you say all the exceptions shall be available for application to municipal projects. Well, what's a municipal project? Is it something that the redevelopment authority undertakes somewhere? Is it something that, we bring in a private company to do something for us? That's too loose. I would much rather add language to it. I mean, I scrawled this down. I don't know if it's any good or not, but after the word projects, relating to replacement, repair, and maintenance of existing town roadways, facilities, installations, and fixtures.
Can you say that again slower, please?
Relating to replacement, repair, and maintenance of existing town roadways, facilities, installations, and fixtures. And I think that narrows exactly, the who and the what can go on. And I think that's important because I read just the bolded language that we have on here is pretty wide open. And that I can see that being abused down the road to get into new types of construction, new this, new that, the other thing. So I think that in those instances, if the town is proposing to do something new in the buffer zone, it should have to go to Concom. I think if the town is proposing to rebuild a roadway and replace it with storm drains, I don't think they should have to go to Concom. If the town wants to go down and clear out dead brush along Onset Bluffs there, so long as they don't do a clear cut like they did back in 2002, which I think kind of led to some of the issues going back and forth between both the Municipal Maintenance Department and the Conservation Commission. I think they should be able to go remove dead brush. They certainly shouldn't be able to clear cut. So these are the sorts of things that I think we need to consider before we vote on these. Alan?
Basically, thank you, because my concern with the second portion was the way it was written. It was really way too open. And these changes make it, for me anyways, something that I can support and let the town people vote on it. Because the bottom line is we know in Onset people have complained about certain things. We have a couple groups that want to clean up, but the town can't let them because they have to work off the dune areas, etc. If we make this change, there really should be no problem going forward. The way it was written originally, it just left it really wide open, and it left it to the point that residents would ask me, how come you guys can do it on your own and we can't do it? Because it wasn't just the simple little repairs things that we're talking about. So with these changes, if the board is willing to make these changes to this particular article, then I'm really happy with that. Thank you.
Peter?
Yes.
Peter, can I follow up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the change. I think it does and accomplishes what we want to accomplish, so I don't have a problem with it. But, to be honest with you, I can't see our municipal maintenance going out there and just ad-libbing anywhere they want and saying, well, we're going to go in here, we're going to put a new thing in here, we're going to do this and do that. I can't picture them doing that anyway. But that's fine. I don't have a problem with that language. That language, I think, accomplishes what we want, and I'm fine with it.
Okay. Hey, I'm sorry. One more time, Mr. Teitelbaum, relating to replacement, repair, and
maintenance.
Yeah.
Of existing town roadways, facilities, installations, and fixtures.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what I have for that one. Well, I'll ask the planner what he thinks.
I think that's great.
I think it accomplishes what we want.
Yeah, I do too.
I think so too.
Yeah, maybe the Conservation Commission won't kill you, Ken.
I don't know. They're talking about that.
Yeah, because I think under that one,
the ruckus, some of you people caused. It's the first time I'm not the one who's guilty of.
They probably still kill him anyway.
Oh, yeah, they'll still kill me anyway. Yeah, they'll still kill me anyway for past sins.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just thinking about this because I think we're all on the same page. For example, if a parking lot down by the water needs to be shorn up, but to do that, you need to build up a little bit around that. It sounds like that would be covered rather than going for a full-blown notice of intent.
Correct.
Right. So if you're looking to repair your existing parking lot, then yeah, you can do that. If you're looking to go onto Onset Beach and park a brand new parking lot there, you got to go do your notice of intent.
No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Can
So
we-
I think the dividing point, if you will.
Can we, oh, Jim, have you had an opportunity to?
No, he hasn't. Jim.
I'm gonna just say no comment. How's that?
Okay. That's great. Let me try Article 11, which would be the municipal one.
Okay.
I move that we include Article 11, the wetland bylaw amendment, as amended by Mr. Titlebaum's language, which reads after the municipal projects relating to replacement, repair, and maintenance of existing town roadways. Yeah, right. Installations and fixtures. Facilities, installations, and fixtures.
Second.
Okay. Okay, roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And
may I, before I speak again on, or before I try a motion on losing it, Article 10, I want to thank Mr. Slavin for the several years of efforts that he put in to getting the Greer property, the Baker property, the Warren property into a position where it can, in fact, hopefully, be considered an asset to the town, as opposed to, I think the last time that Greer building was useful when I was about 12, and I used to go in there with my dad to buy, hardware stuff. Mr. Slavin spent hours, days, a lot of time working this project on behalf of the town way back when. And I just want to say thank you, because I think you've brought it to the brink of where it can really be the cornerstone of something wonderful for the town of Wareham. Thank you.
Peter. Okay, I want to tell you about that the property when it was owned and was used to make ducks and so on and so forth. It's an interesting piece because we sued the guy, okay, over his ducks, because we said they were vehicles and he said they were boats. And there was this big thing. It went on. Kopelman and Page spent $60,000 of our money, and they had 8 different lawyers touch it, 8 different ones along the process. So the first time I was on the board way back, I became chairman. And I remember talking to, I think it was John Giorgio. And I said, John, I don't want to spend any more money on this thing. I said, call him up and tell him we've decided they're boats, and just get this thing over with. And John Giorgio said, okay. And that's what they did. And the suit ended at that point. They made an agreement and the thing ended and we stopped spending money on it. I said, they're both. I mean, literally, they're both. They're a boat and they're a thing. They go in the water and they go on the shore. And they were both. But we spent a lot of money trying to make a point down there. And I think if we don't allow something to go on that property that's good for this community at this point, that helps the whole waterfront, that makes it into a nice piece, if we don't do that at this point, that was a wasted $60,000, I'll tell you anyway. But still, we need to make that into something. We need to, I remember when Greer's Lumber, I used to go there when I was a kid. Okay, with Gus Panza, he used to grab me by the shoulder and we'd go down there and he'd drive across Price. He was a terrible driver. He'd drive up on shit and he'd go in there and he'd grab some stuff and we'd take it back to the cottage on Barnes Street and nail some boards up or whatever the hell we were doing. And, and then of course the damage and the whole thing happened and what have you. And it kind of laid there. And every time I saw it, I would think about what happened when I was a kid, in there, and how it was a piece of the community. Everybody went there. It was whatever. And then it became just an eyesore. And it was just not a nice place. And now we have a chance to turn it into something nice. And, frankly, I don't know Danny Warren from the Doors. I mean, I've seen him a couple of times in the coffee shop where he was talking to some guys and stuff, but I don't know him. I don't have any connection to Danny Warren. I don't know anything really too much about him. I know he did some pipelining or something, but you know, anybody who wants to turn that into a valuable piece of this community is okay with me. And I hope that we let this thing happen. And whatever it takes, we got to put a bylaw in place to make it happen. Whatever we got to do, I'm okay with it.
May I just add one thing that I forgot to say earlier?
Sure.
Mr. Warren delivered to the Selectmen's office today a letter from the condo association at British Landing saying they supported the project 100%. He also delivered 100 signatures that said on a piece of paper that basically said, we think this is a great idea and we hope that the town goes forward with it. It was not in the form of a petition. It simply was information. He had in his hand another stack of papers. I do not know Mr. Warren. I have spoken with him on the phone. I know he's a Wareham native. I know he grew up in Wareham. I know he went to Wareham High School. I know that he invented something and he was able to sell his company and has money to invest. And anybody who has the ready cash to invest in our town, we should be making it easy for them. But I just wanted to remind you, because we did send you, I had Cassie send all of you the copies of the signatures in the letter that were delivered to our office.
Okay, thank you. You know, I support doing this in Wareham Village 1. I don't support it in Onset. Onset, you know, this is apples and oranges. I know there may be projects on the pier and maybe, you know, come back at it at some point and put the pier in as an exempted property. I suppose that could happen. But I just, you know, Onset Village 1, I see the words, you know, filled tidelands, you know, God knows who filled what when. And the other thing is parkland. I mean, let's face it, the entire thing down there, everything that's open down there, pretty much, I'd say 95% of the land is, you know, basically preserved as parkland through the decree easements that don't allow anybody to interfere with the public's right of access. So I really think Onset Village 1 needs to go from this, but I'll hear from the planner as to why he might disagree.
I don't disagree. It was to make it equatable between the two villages, that both of them would get the same opportunity. But as you described, Onset is quite different than downtown Village, and it makes more sense in the downtown rather than on Onset.
Okay, thank you. Alan?
Again, Peter, thank you, because it had been discussed about taking this piece out because it really wasn't necessary. The harbor master's piece on the pier and everything else would not be affected at all. Whatever they have to do, that they can do. So I think these couple changes make life a lot easier for all of us and for the residents in Austin.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to have any issue with us doing this at all.
Okay, and I would say too that, you know, when we talk about the pier would be covered under the one we just put on, actually, in terms of the repair, maintenance of existing town facilities.
Right.
So you don't need to have Onset Village in there, because the only thing down there that we're ever going to fool around with is what, a boat ramp over on East Boulevard, the pier, and maybe a couple of bridges. I just don't see anything else down there that we're going to be, you know,
storm drains
doing much to. Right, but
storm drains.
Storm drains would be covered.
No, storm drains are already covered under Section C of the existing exceptions. So.
Okay. May I try a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move that we include Article 10 Wetland Bylaw Amendment as written, with the exception that in Section D, the words "and OV1" are stricken, and following it, it will read zoning district for water dependent as opposed to districts.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Judy, second by Patrick. Any further discussion?
I just want to say that I don't base it upon the projects being presented or proposed, but based upon how it can affect future development within Wareham Village 1 holistically. I think that's which way I will tend to vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alan, you're abstaining?
Yes, I have to abstain.
Okay. Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And thank you. This is, you know, trying to make policy on the fly sometimes isn't the easiest in the world, but I think we've gotten these at least straightened out. Hopefully they're more palatable to the Conservation Commission, and hopefully we've done what we need to do to protect the interests that we have to protect anyway. So thank you very much. Now we've got Article.
Wait, did we vote on Article 11, or did I just not write it down?
You didn't write it down. It was 500.
Thank you. I'm sorry. You and I both tired, and I apologize.
No, no worries. We got to go back to Article 9 though, since we've heard from on high.
That's correct.
So Alan, what are they saying? Just do it?
Yes, they said go ahead and do it because all the other communities are following both pieces and passing.
Hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but we need a vote to go past 10 o'clock. It's 10:01.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I move that we continue this meeting until we have completed the business on hand.
Me too.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Myself? I should vote no, but I'll say yes. 500 past the hour of 10.
Okay, now I'm going to move that Article 9 be placed on the warrant, the updates to the FEMA floodplain bylaws as written.
Second.
Motion by Judy, seconded by
Alan.
By Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. So we're back in sequence here. WPCF funding requests. They want a couple of generators, do they?
Yes. I move that we include Article 12, the Wareham Pollution Control Facility funding request as presented. It was the recommendation and the request of the Board of Sewer Commissioners, and obviously, therefore, they have discussed it and voted on it.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Hey, Alan, any discussion?
Well, how much is the request for, just for informational sake?
500,000, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. We have another WPCF funding request.
I move Article 13, WPCF funding request be placed on the warrant, and the amount is $11,036.38, which would be appropriated from the retained earnings and for a invoice. Again, it's the request of the sewer commissioners.
Okay, we have a motion by Judy and a seconded by Alan.
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I hope we get over this retained earnings thing pretty soon, because there shouldn't be any retained earnings. It's an enterprise fund, and we got to get this fixed at some point. Okay, we can have money set aside for certain things and so on and so forth, but it shouldn't have retained earnings.
Fair point. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500.
I've been informed, Mr. Ruiz, or whoever is listening to us, that the screen has gone blank for some customers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
There's a possibility that Steve only has a certain time frame for the Zoom meeting allotted to us.
Yeah, 10 o'clock was probably it.
Well, does that mean that we're not being recorded at the moment?
Let me find out. I'll check in the other room. Hey, Sandy?
Thank you.
You're continuing to be recorded.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Then excuse me for the interruption, but I just wanted to make sure.
Are we still live?
Yes. Yes.
You're still being recorded. You're not live, is what I.
Okay, so they can't see us, but they can hear us.
Right. At least it's being recorded.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
We're not doing any public hearings here, so it's
yeah.
We can proceed.
I will move that we include Article 14, the additional liquor license for 59 Main Street, which is at the request of the town administrator if he chooses to speak to it.
Those are the liquor license for the project we've spoken about earlier, and then there's a second liquor license for another location in Main Street. This is how we've done the liquor licenses. I know it sounds like there's a better way to do it going into the future and such. I'm all for that. I would just say I'd like to get these through and not necessarily hold it up if possible. So
I've just been informed that we are back. They can see us and hear us.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, to the point of, you can
come in, baby.
To the point of, Article 14 and 15, these premises specific licenses, it's true that we've done that. But it is also true that, we have an article that's going to be considered by the body during the main portion of the meeting during the spring annual to rezone WV1. And while it's great to take care of, somebody who's come into town and has acquired property and is doing things on them, this might be a good opportunity to add, in addition to these two, one of these district so-called licenses. And I've actually scrawled one out here, and I'll ask Attorney Bowen to listen carefully to see if this would pass what he thinks would pass muster here. He loves it when we write articles right in front of him, doesn't he?
No.
To see if the town will vote to petition the general court to authorize the issuance of up to 5 pouring licenses pursuant to MGL Chapter 138, Section 17, to be used only in the Wareham Village 1 zoning district, said district having been laid out and designated as an area in need of economic stimulus by the Board of Selectmen.
Take out Section 17 and add the words, or take any other action relative thereto, and you've got a runner.
Good.
Wonderful. Okay, can we
so
deal with...
just hold on one second. We would first, in doing this, we would take a first vote to designate WV1 as an area in need of economic stimulus in the form of additional liquor licenses.
Yeah, but can we just do one thing at a time, because I'm really losing it.
Okay, but I'm just proposing this.
That's a great idea, but Article 14 and Article 15 stand alone before on this warrant. Then we could add item 17 if you...
Selectman Whiteside, I don't know if you want to listen to him. I think he's doing them all as one.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's
no. I mean, we could vote on all as one, but I don't know if that's what the board wants to do.
I think it's safer to do it 14, 15, and...
Then why'd you confuse us, Peter?
Because it's easy at this time at night, and it's fun to watch the reactions. Alan?
I prefer we do them separate because the first one, which is, again, Danny Warren's project, he did ask me at one point, can I get a liquor license? I said, you need to reach out to the town and ask for, what they call a special act license. So again, when we go to that one there, I will abstain again because, I did, as I did the first time.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. Then we'll do separate votes. Well,
all right. So
Article 14.
I move that we add Article 14, the additional liquor license for 59 Main Street.
Okay, we have a second. Patrick or Jim?
Second it for discussion.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
As you know, I wrote to the board asking for no replies, suggesting that we request through special legislation additional liquor licenses for the WV1 district, in addition to also the Tremont overlay, because in a couple of years, hopefully that'll be up and running. So you don't have to go through this again and again. I suggested a total of 5, I think, and that would have been including the two that you're earmarking for an individual properties, not the businesses. There's no businesses there yet. They're proposed. So I thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Teitelbaum. And, you know, 7's a big bite. That's my opinion, but I don't know. So I'm not against, you know, granting, you know, 5 or requesting 5, but to guarantee, you know, ask for 2 guaranteed to someone and not having the option for others to get some economic advantage in related to the value of their properties. I have some concern about that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I've come up with here is, like I said, this is something that Derek and I think, discussed with Representative Gifford, because she had alerted us to a few towns doing this and getting the legislation passed. She had mentioned this to us a couple of years ago. So, you know, to the point of allowing others in, I think you can dedicate 2 and still have other people, if, for example, the WV1 rezoning changes or Tremont Nail needs a few or whatever it is. I think you more or less do cover the bases if we pass all 3. But that's up to
Peter.
Yeah.
Rich here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to throw out something for thought. If you decided to go with all 3 articles or to put all 3 on the warrant, up to you. And if town meeting decided to pass all 3, the 2 that are business specific, what town meeting is doing is it's authorizing the Board of Selectmen to seek special legislation. So theoretically, if you got your 5 under the call it the global district approach, you could decline to exercise that authorization to seek special legislation on the other 2. So you're not necessarily, but putting all 3 articles on the warrant, even if they all pass town meeting, you wouldn't necessarily be committed to going for 7.
Correct.
And you can do with that whatever you want.
Okay. I think, may I speak to Mr. Muniz's concern?
Yeah.
I think your concern is valid, Mr. Muniz. Would you feel more comfortable if Mr. Teitelbaum's write it as we speak motion would be to 3 pouring licenses? In other words, the 2 specifics would go forward and then there would be 3 more available.
Yeah.
Just asking you a question.
Reasonable. I mean, if you think a total of 7's feasible, and then I don't have an issue with it. I mean,
thank you.
You know, and I don't know why we didn't include the Tremont overlay, but that's okay.
Well, we don't have to because Tremont Nail's still within WV1.
Right.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Then we're good.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
If you think 7 will fly, great. I mean, I guess it's 2 and then however it works, you know, 2 special legislation, 5, what's the process? What's a word you describe the process in the 5?
Yeah, the process of the 5, before we actually move to put that on the warrant, we need to move to declare WV1 and designate it as an area in need of economic stimulus through the addition of liquor licensability.
It's still special legislation though, right, for the 5?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's go for, did I make a motion on Article 14? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. And I believe Patrick seconded.
Yep.
And so we'll do a roll call vote. I believe Alan's abstaining on this one.
Yes.
Correct.
So abstention by Alan. Patrick.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Myself, yes, that's a 401.
Thank you. Now I will move that we include Article 15, which is the additional liquor license for 176 Main Street.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Okay.
And now this would be the next article that I'll stick in after. I'll renumber the last ones. This will be Article 16. And again, the proposed article would read, to see if the town will vote to petition the general court to authorize the issuance of up to 5 pouring licenses pursuant to MGL Chapter 138 to be used only in, we actually have to lay out the district first.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that. And that's a precursor. Can I have a motion to designate WV1 as an area in need of economic stimulus by the Board of Selectmen through the issuance of additional liquor licenses?
So moved.
Second.
A motion to lay out the district by Judy, seconded by, I'll give it to Jim. He gets the guys tonight. Roll call vote on the district. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 5-0-0. And now the motion, if somebody will make it after I read it, to see if the town will vote to petition the general court to authorize the issuance of up to 5 pouring licenses pursuant to MGL Chapter 138 to be used only in the Wareham Village 1 zoning district, said district having been laid out in an area in need of economic stimulus by the Board of Selectmen or to take any other action relative to.
So moved.
Second. Motion, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 5-0-0. Okay. Now we're making some hay. And I believe that is it, because the last article is a petition article inserted by Nancy McHale et al. And that's on by operation of law, so we don't have to do a single thing with it because it's on.
A quick question for you.
Yep.
Do you want to make recommendations on the, no, forget it. I don't want to.
No,
No, I don't either.
For work, just pipe down you.
Motion to close the warrant.
Second.
Third.
Okay, roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, hallelujah, yes. The warrant is closed. We don't need to do any recommendation votes. We'll hold those off for next week. Town administrators report.
If you go past the hour of 10 o'clock, are you still not allowed to drink at a meeting?
Yes.
You can drink whatever you want after 10.
All I see is a smiling face from you 5 years ago.
Hey, isn't this the best part about these Zoom meetings?
Yeah.
I don't have anything. Thank you very much at this hour.
Okay, liaison initiative reports on pain of death. Alan?
Not a chance in hell right now.
Okay. Patrick?
Not a chance. And Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah.
You got to get a handle on the length of these meetings, man.
Well, if you guys didn't talk so much, we'd get done sooner. Jim?
I'll pass.
Judy?
I just want to make a 3-sentence statement, please.
Okay, at your peril, go ahead.
Okay. I was reviewing the fiscal year 2021 revenue source by percentage and fiscal year 2021 expense allocation by percentage, which was presented to the town meeting in June of 2020. And I want to point out something that's really glaring, and it's something that you guys and I have talked about at length on several different occasions. We have no money dedicated to cultural and recreation in this town at the moment. We know that we are very much in need of funds for the Council on Aging, for our library, and for other services that we simply are not able to provide at this time. Our sources of revenue are, they were impacted by COVID. We were given a presentation this evening about a possible new public safety, I can't think of the word, you know what I mean, complex, anywhere from $15 to $21 million. That will in fact have an impact on our resources. At the moment, we have a AA+ bond rating, which entitles us to borrow at really low rates of interest. And we've saved a lot of money on the school, and we've saved a lot of money on our general obligation notes. That is something that we want to continue to be able to do. The only way that we can continue to provide the kind of services that we are providing today, and we're not providing everything that we should be, in my opinion, is to increase our revenue base, not by raising taxes, but by taking opportunities to improve the town of Wareham so that the infrastructure of the town of Wareham can be improved by increased revenue from tax revenue. I just want to point out that I did some research today. The property that is in question for being rezoned and above the highway brings in $18,700 in taxes per year. Were it developed, it certainly would bring in more revenue. That's it. Good night.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything. We have one set of minutes.
Yes, I move that they be approved as written.
Second.
They're March 16th, I'm sorry.
Yep. And we were all here, correct?
And we were all here, yes.
Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick? We lost Patrick. Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Patrick, yes.
Yes, yes.
Myself, yes, 500.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks. Second.
Thank
you. God for that one.
Any prodding tonight, did he? Thank you for hanging in there with us. Everybody who stayed on and watched this. Kind of interesting making legislation on the fly. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes, I'd like to thank everybody for some really strong cooperation. It's about time.
Patrick?
Yes, and there's still 14 attendees. Can you imagine that? Good for them. You know, more power to the people who want to do that. That's terrific.
Yep.
Jim?
Yes. And I'll leave it at that. I'll be a good boy.
Thank you. Judy?
Yes, and thank you. I agree with Alan. I echo his sentiments. We did a lot of work tonight, and we did it in a cooperative and civil fashion. Thank you.
As always.
Yes, thank you very much. And good night, Wareham. We will see you next week.
Before you go, make sure you go to town hall and sign things tomorrow, guys.